that seems all right. All right, hold on a second here. My fat ass is doing great here. Here we go on YouTube. Hey, YouTubers, we're kicking off a brand new week this week on Spaced Out Radio. How we all doing tonight? I am Dave Scott. Got the hair down, all relaxed. I even got my pajama bottoms on tonight, but that doesn't matter. Our guest is a kick-ass guest tonight with Lon Strickler. We're getting into everything cryptid and weird, talking about them flying humanoids out of Illinois. We're going to get into some monsters, bipedal canines, dogman, whatever Lon wants to get into. He's going to drop the gloves and go with whatever it may be. Really looking forward to it. Want to give a shout out to everybody who is in the chat room so far. Mr. Bizzle, Eva, how are you? Renee in New Zealand. Hey, Jack, good to have you here. Who else is here so far? Sergeant Soups, or Sups, Soups. We'll call you Soups because it sounds better. Human Carl. Human Carl is back. Clap for Human Carl, everybody. And Bigfoot, Michigan Rob, how you doing? Science Bob, good to have you here. Hope you have your cape on and your eye mask ready so nobody can recognize you on the chat. Thanks for coming in. Hey, Insane, go kicking off the super chat right off the bat, man. Thank you so much for the super chat, buddy. I really appreciate that. That's really cool. How you doing, Lon?
I'm hanging in there, man, just like everybody else.
Oh God, I you know what? I am just running around here way too much, trying to do too much on too little time, and then my little guy attacks me tonight. Just absolutely attacks me, and just beats the shit out of my ankles, and so he's found this thing. And I don't know, he goes and cracks with his knuckles on my ankles, and it drives me nuts, but it makes me laugh at the same time because it's kind of like hitting a funny bone, and it hurts real bad, but I can't stop laughing. So the more I laugh, the more he does it, and I'm screaming in pain, but he doesn't care. He doesn't care. No, he's 6. He don't care. All right, who else we got here? Insane, how you doing, man? Bart L. And the Third Nipple Crew, good to have you here. Peridoxine Oxide, thank you so much for coming on in. And, yeah, it was warm today. It made it up to 71 degrees, the perfect temperature here. That's the perfect Dave temperature, between 17 and 21 degrees Celsius. So that's about 70 to 74, 75 Fahrenheit. That's where old Davey likes it. Hey, Life Dweller. Brett, how you doing? Thank you so much for coming on in. And, yeah, thank you. And we got Lon Strickler here tonight, phantomsandmonsters.com, phantomsandmonsters.com. So we got to make sure we check that on out. I check it out all the time because there's always interesting information coming through there. And we're going to get into Lon's new book tonight. It's going to be a lot of fun. Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook. Now, how fucking freaky does that seem? Got to get this one. Got to get this one. I went there, Lon. I went there.
Hey, that's okay.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready for tonight. Ready for tonight. It's going to be a good one. Going to be a good one. We got about 2 minutes, my friend. 2 minutes. All right. Oh. Hey, Phenom, what's going on? Alan Young, how are you? Thank you for coming on in. Why does the camera seem so high today? I'm going to lower that just a little bit. It seems to have moved a little bit there. Let's see how that one works. Okay, Lon, we're going to start the first feed here.
Okay.
I got a new keyboard, so you shouldn't be able to hear my keyboard as bad as the last one. I'm pretty happy about that. Pretty happy about that. Before, it was like hearing a jackhammer with my fingers trying to type. Reverend Keith, how you doing, Rev? Amen to you, my friend. Amen to you. Good to have you here, buddy. Good to have you here. All right. There we go. Hi, beautiful Marie. How's California tonight? Good to have you here. I'm shrinking, Science Bob. I'm shrinking. I'm melting. I'm melting. 30 seconds here, my friend. 30 seconds. All right, everyone. Stand pat, because we're going to make this show go live here in just a couple of seconds, because that's what we do here. All right. 10 seconds. Thank you to Insane for kicking off the super chat to kick off our week. It is open along with our SOR Space Travelers Club for only $5 a month on our website. And don't forget to do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Here we go. Music's on. Hey, Chocobo. Hey, Peanut Butter Rolls. Nick to the N. Good to have you here. We're going to have a great week this week. Let's have some fun. Here we go, Lon. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome each and every one of you to tonight's show, including everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and digitally on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we have them free for you. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. For the last few years, the legend of Mothman has moved to the state of Illinois, and the man behind some of the best research into this resurgence of this monster is Lon Strickler. Lon is a Fortean researcher, author, and publisher of the syndicated Phantoms and Monsters blog. His research and reports have been featured on hundreds of online media sources. Lon also has a brand new book out looking into this and other monster reports called Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook. This can be found on Amazon. Lon's website also, phantomsandmonsters.com. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Mr. Lon Strickler, great friend of this show. Always a pleasure to have you on talking monsters. How you doing?
Hey, thanks for having me, Dave. I'm doing fine.
Oh, we love it when you are here, my friend. We absolutely love it. Lon, there are so many people out there who would love to get into the world of chasing monsters. What made you head down this direction in life?
Well, in my case, I actually had some encounters that kind of steered me in that direction. I had, of course, I had the Bigfoot encounter in 81. And then I had a winged humanoid encounter with 2 other people in 1988 here in Pennsylvania. And that's kind of where it kicked off at.
I got to ask you, because I've never heard you say that you have actually seen one of these winged humanoids. You got to tell me that story.
Okay. Well, this happened in the fall of 1988. I was living in Baltimore at the time, and I happened to be at a Boy Scout conference of all places. I wasn't there as an attendee or anything, but I was there with some other people that were part of scouting, and I had been part of scouting when I was younger. Well, anyway, when I was there, I met up with an old friend of mine, a guy I went to school with, and we were actually in Boy Scouts together when we lived up in Pennsylvania, and we got to talking, and we were sitting down eating some lunch, and he knew of my interest in the paranormal from when we were back in high school. So he was we were talking. In fact, this guy actually spent some nights with me on the Gettysburg battlefield. So, he was familiar with some of the stuff I was involved with. Well, anyway, we were sitting there talking, and the paranormal came up, and he was mentioning to me that the old Camp Conawaga, which is here in Adams County, Pennsylvania. These Boy Scouts and the troops were being run out of the camp because of these loud screaming sounds. I mean, people were they were just literally packing up and heading out. And in fact, I think there had been a jamboree a couple months before that where several of the troops had complained about this and just picked up and left because the boys in the scout and the troop were just scared. Well, anyway, he told me that he and another friend were going to, another scoutmaster, were going to go up there the next weekend and check out what was going on. And he asked me if I wanted to come along. So I said, fine, I'll meet you up there. So the next Friday, we, I met him at the campsite, and he asked me then, he said, we're probably going to try and stay the whole weekend. You want to hang out? Because I originally was going to stay one night, but I said, okay, so that's what we did. So we hiked into the woods, and we got up alongside the area where the Conawaga Creek and kind of forks off, and this is an area where there's a lot of camping. So we went ahead and set up a campsite. We had each of us had a tent. We had 3 tents. We set it up. And by that time, it was about 6 in the evening, and we just sat around eating, had something to eat, and we're talking around the campfire. Nothing going on that night. We just sat around, didn't hear a thing, see a thing. I had a sense that maybe something was watching you. You kind of get that, that feeling that something may be watching you. Well, anyway, we hit the sacks that night, and nothing going on. Woke up the next morning, and we were sitting around the fire talking, and the other guy who was with my friend and I told us, he said, did you hear somebody walking or something walking around in the campsite? And I did. I had heard, something walking around, but I thought maybe it was one of those guys going out in the woods and relieve himself, but I didn't think anything of it. So, nothing in the campsite was disturbed. So, we just didn't get another thought. So anyway, we went ahead and decided we were going to do some hiking throughout the woods. And, this area is really thick wooded area, a lot of wildlife. And we were out there, my God, we were out walking around, I guess maybe half a day. We didn't get back till about 6 or 7 that evening. And we just sat around and we're talking football. And, it was getting later. And I guess it was about 11 o'clock, I think. We were sitting there by the fire, and we heard this god-awful screaming sound coming out from deep in the woods. And I didn't know what it was. I mean, I thought maybe first of all, it might have been some type of bird or an owl or something. But, neither one of those guys had any idea what it was. But it was fairly loud, but it seemed like it was far off. So we just sat there and, went back to talking. And then again, we heard this screaming. Now, this time, it distinctly sounded like a kid screaming. It really did. It was really terrifying. And and that's what we all said to each other. I mean, it sounded like someone was out there screaming bloody murder. So we didn't know what to think. We just sat there and, listened and tried to figure out what it was. Well, I'd say about an hour and a half passed, and we didn't hear anything else. So I got up, and I started walking around a bit. And, I kept thinking that, there's something watching us. I just had that strange feeling. So I got back to them. I told them, I said, look, let's go up the trail a little bit and see if, we see anything. So we all got up and we walked down the trail. And we were not more than maybe 50 foot away from the campsite. And we suddenly looked to our right in the creek. Something tall and dark was standing in the middle of the creek. I mean, the water at this time was really low, really shallow. And this thing had two bright red eyes.
Oh, Jesus.
And by the time we got our flashlights on this thing shot straight up into the air, got to a certain height, and screamed. And then we heard it scream again as it went away from us. It was kind of going in and out. I mean, we rushed back to the campsite. Those guys were freaking out. They really were. And my friend in particular. I kind of had to prod him a bit to get him to talk to me. We all saw the red eyes. I mean, there was no doubt about that. The other guy did mention that it looked like there were some structures on its back, and I noticed that as well. I mean, there was enough moonlight out there at the time that we could kind of see a good outline of what this thing. And, it looked like it was probably about 6 foot in height. And it did look like it may have had wings on its back, some type of structure. Well, we were there talking a bit, and my friend, he wanted to go back. He wanted to go spend the night in the administration building because he was really freaked. So those two went up to the administration building to spend the night. I wanted to stay around and see what this thing was, because I had no idea what it was. And, I had known about, at that time, about Mothman and other winged phenomena, but, I wasn't really that well versed in it. So, I was interested then. And, since that time, I had started the blog several years later, and I actually wrote about this back in 2008, which was 20 years later. I wrote about this sighting, and almost immediately I got a response from a guy that lived downstream from there near a place called Dick's Dam. And he told me, he said, I've been hearing that screaming sound for years, and I had no idea what it was. He verified that screaming would occur every once in a while. So not long after that, I received another email. And this was from a scoutmaster who had just been at Camp Conawaga with his troop about a month earlier. And he said one day they were out there, and the boys had been out hiking, and they came running back, out of breath, scared, or whatever. And they were told this scoutmaster that they saw what they called a dragon standing out in the middle of the trail. He said the thing, they said it was like 5 foot tall, had wings like a dragon, and a long tail. Well, he thought they were pulling his leg, So he didn't really buy into it, but he saw my article. And then he was convinced that they did actually see something. So since 2008, I have received 5 credible reports up and down the Conawaga Creek, which probably runs about 12 to 15 miles from Adams County, then bends back eastward and empties into the Susquehanna River. And I've had several sightings along the creek of this dark, 6 foot tall winged creature with red eyes that people keep seeing. And the funny thing about it is what people have been reporting in Chicago seems very similar to what I witnessed back in 1988.
Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Now, when you had this sighting and you're looking at this thing, whatever it is, with its red eyes right in front of you, you had to be filled with fear, my friend. What was going through your mind when you're looking at this?
Well, I will not say I wasn't scared, but I was curious too. I get asked that a lot by people. You say, "Well, you had to be scared." Nah, I was scared, baby, but I was very curious because I had never seen something like that before. I really never heard much about anything like that. But I kind of got bitten by the bug that night. And ever since, I've really been looking into this phenomena. And it so happens that these sightings that have been occurring in Chicago just kind of dropped in my lap. Me and a few others just took the lead on this and went out and tried to find people who had seen this and put the information out there for them to contact us. And it's been a whirlwind since early 2017.
So when you saw this, did you think you were looking at a monster, or did you think it was a human at 6 feet that was tracking you and maybe playing some games?
I really had no idea what I saw, quite honest with you. It definitely wasn't natural. But, of course, it wasn't anybody out there in a suit standing in the middle of the creek and being able to jettison in the air without flapping its wings. I mean, this thing took off like a rocket. And that's one of the characteristics of a lot of these sightings, that this thing has the ability to just jettison or ascend quickly without flapping its wings, though it has wings. And that's very similar to what this thing did.
Lon, what did you know about the Mothman sightings from Point Pleasant, West Virginia at that point?
I didn't know a whole lot. I had read John Keel's books. I knew of John Keel, and but the only cryptids I had really looked into at that time were Bigfoot. I had my Bigfoot encounter in 1981, and I kind of was going from there. I just really wasn't looking at anything else other than Bigfoot. But after I saw this, and that kind of opened up everything.
So, okay, here you are. You're in the forest with some friends, and you have this sighting, and it's freaking a couple of them out. You're a little, curious, even though you're freaking out. Those red eyes. We hear so much about the red eyes and how a lot of people describe it as it's just like burning into your soul. How did you feel like when you saw those red eyes staring back at you? How long was this process that they were staring at you? And what was it like to try and, or did you feel anything from those red eyes like other people have stated?
Well, in my instance, I only saw the red eyes for a couple of seconds. I'd say they were probably the size of baseballs. They were pretty good size, and they were pretty bright. They were definitely red. They did seem to give off a light as opposed to just being a light. They gave off an energy, but that energy wasn't as palpable as a lot of the witnesses have been stating to me over the years. I guess the shock just got to me, more so than anything else. I never really did feel any dread at that time.
Obviously, this put you on a path to study what this creature was. I know that all too well because I dedicate 5 nights a week now to trying to figure out what the hell happened to me. How much of this has been passion for you personally to try and figure out what it is you saw?
I'd say 50% is passion and the other 50% is curiosity. In particularly this type of cryptid. Since I had that experience myself and I have listened to others describe it, it's become a passion, more like an obsession in a way. And honestly, I'm kind of surprised I haven't written about this before the flap had started in Chicago. I had occasionally put a story here or there in one of my previous books, but nothing dedicated to either the winged humanoids or the winged cryptid phenomena.
We've got about 4 minutes here before we got to take a break here at the bottom of the hour. Lon Strickler is our guest here. Very, very interesting topic indeed tonight as we're talking monsters and cryptids all night long. Lon, as you mentioned, you had a Bigfoot encounter as well. What happened there?
Mm-hmm. Well, this was in the May of 1981. I was fly fishing on the south branch of the Patapsco River about a mile downstream from Sykesville, Maryland. And as I was standing in the stream fly fishing, I happened to notice a dog on the other side of the creek. Well, it's a river, but it's not really wide. I'd say 25 to 30 feet at the maximum at that point. But I saw this dog moving in and out of the weeds across on the north side of the river. And I just didn't pay any mind, continued fishing. But then I noticed a yelping. So I heard this thing yelp, this dog. And then when this dog yelped, this hairy creature stood up in the weeds. And as I looked at it, Frank, I didn't know what I was looking at. I mean, I can see it from the waist up because of the high weeds. But I really had no idea what I was looking at. So as I stood there in waders in the creek, watching this thing, it walked towards my left out of the bushes and stood facing me. Definitely a male, very hairy. Had like light brownish to dark brownish hair. It was like patchy and stuff. But the face looked like that of a Neanderthal. I mean, this thing, honestly, to me, looked more human than it did any primate or ape. I'd say it was probably 7 to 7.5 foot tall. It did have a conical head, a thick brow ridge, and it was actually making a ticking sound, which I realized later was probably gnashing its teeth. After I had talked to other people who have had encounters with these things. It stood there, looked at me for like a few seconds, then turned on a dime and headed and walked quickly up into the woods. And when I did see it, I'm standing here with my jaw hanging in the river. I mean, thinking, what am I looking at? I was shocked, scared, so I immediately got out of the river, went up to my car, and got in and took off towards town. Because at the time, I thought the best thing to do was to call the police and let them know what I saw. Well, I got to a bar, which was right on the edge of the river. There was a payphone there. I called the local police, told them what I saw. They told me, well, go back to where you were and, we'll meet you there. And actually, it was on like a 3 or 4 minute drive. So I got back there. And by the time I got there, there was a Howard County police officer, it was a state police officer who was there with one of those barriers across the road. And I pulled up and he said, you got to turn around and go back. I said, look, I made the call to Sykesville police. And they told me to come back here. He said, well, I don't know what they told you, but you got to go back out. So I backed up and turned around and went home. I lived locally at the time. So I went home, stayed home for maybe about an hour, got back in my car and drove back to the location. And when I got to the location, it was like Grand Central. I mean, it was like people everywhere. There were cars up and down the road. I had to park a distance away and walk up there. I walked up to where the barrier was at on the road. There was a Howard County cop standing there. I asked him what had happened. He kind of smiled at me and said somebody said they saw a Bigfoot.
Hold it right there, my friend. That's a great place. We're going to continue right after this. Lon Strickler talking monsters all night long, continuing his Bigfoot story when we return on Spaced Out Radio. All right. Wow. Dude, that Mothman shit would scare the crap out of me.
I thought I had told you that.
No, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that got me going.
Yeah. That's a good one. That's a real good one. 1 second here. Just, all right. Hey, Cable Guy Matt. Cable Guy Matt is in the house. Hey, I want to remind everybody that Cable Guy Matt is offering free pieces of autographed coaxial cable. We'll limit one per household. They are free for you. All you got to do is ask him. Hit him up for your free piece of autographed coaxial cable today from Cable Guy Matt. You cannot buy these in stores. There's my little plug for my buddy there. What it actually means, we don't friggin' know, Lon. We just kind of go with it. Oh, we got a bunch of small stuff here. Hey, Overbuild Automotive, how are you? We need a date update, my friend. Date update needed. Let's see here. Lon, you're not in the chat on YouTube, are you? No. Lon is not in the chat in YouTube, Audra. What was she asking? Was it eye shine or glow from the red eyes?
No, it was glow.
Oh, man. I haven't seen the red eyes or the yellow eyes. I haven't seen them yet. I don't know if I want to. I'll tell you, though, man. Last night, I had the weirdest dream, and I don't remember my dreams. And all I know is that it involved aliens.
Well, I'm the same way.
And
I'm the same way. I don't remember dreams.
And all I know is that for some reason, when it involves aliens, old Davey always seems to remember those dreams.
Well, that's what happened to me, too. I mean, you know, I remember what happened to me, and, you know, it was pretty vivid, and I still remember it.
Yeah. I hear you. So I didn't sleep very well last night. Did not sleep very well, but that's okay. Let's see here. See if we can nope. All right. Let's see here. Hi, Dave, Scott, and Chatters. We got a bunch of people. We got like 78 people listening on YouTube right now. Most of them in the chat room chatting away. It's a good night so far. All right, let's see what else we got. Let's see here. Bart, in his dream at Spaced Out Radio, finally got to probe Carl the way Carl usually probes him. You sick bastard. See, that's why you're part of the Third Nipple crew right there on our YouTube channel. Your sickness has no boundaries. It's funny, though, but it didn't happen. No, that's funny. It is actually kind of funny now that I think about it. Oh, God. No. No, there was none of that. Hi, Tammy. How are you? Good to have you here. Renee, thank you for stopping on in. Alex Bilodeau, have some ramen for us. Horns up. Thank you for enjoying the show, man. Remember, the super chat is open, and don't forget to join our space travelers for $5 a month and do a little shopping at our SOR vault. All right, there we go. Sweet Butchie Pie is in one of our chat rooms here. There he is, Butch Wachowski, hanging on out. How come you're not as cranky as Butch is, Lon?
Oh, I don't know. I ask him that all the time.
You know? I mean, the guy's pissed off that he's living. He's pissed off that he nearly died. He's just pissed off. I love him. Love him. Oh, man. All Butch all the time. I know he's probably killing himself laughing right now, even though he can't hear us. But, God, I love that guy. I do. All right, my friend. We got about 20 seconds. All right, here we go. Here we go, second half hour, YouTube. Tighten up the jock straps. We're going deep into Bigfoot territory here. Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Tonight, I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for each and every one of you joining us. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR News Wire. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show. My personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. From phantomsandmonsters.com, the legendary Lon Strickler is here tonight talking winged humanoids, winged creatures, winged monsters, wing-a-ling. If it's got wings, Lon is checking it out. His latest book, Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook, is on Amazon right now. You can check it on out. We're talking Bigfoot here, Lon. I mean, here you are. You call the cops. The cop comes down. He comes up to you and says, yeah, some dude called in a Bigfoot with a little bit of a snicker. How did that make you feel?
Well, I wasn't going to tell him I was the one who made the call. So, he kind of looked at me and told me this. Said, oh, yeah, somebody saw a Bigfoot. I said, oh, okay. And that's all I said. So I was just watching the activity that was going on. And, there were some guys with some dogs going in and out of the bushes up in the woods. There was a big white tent pitched across the river. And at that time, the feds used to drive these black Wagoneers. And I saw two of those that were parked down below. And, of course, there were some Maryland State Police, some Howard County police cars. So it was a crowd. I mean, there were a lot of people going in and out. So, I stood there for I also heard helicopters. I didn't see any helicopters, but I heard them. So I stood there about 10 minutes, and, I thought, well, I'm not here to talk to anybody, so I'm just going to go on back home. And that's what I did. So when I got home, I called some of the local TV stations in Baltimore, and I talked to the news editors, and I was telling them, each of them, what I had experienced and what was going on. And at the time, they seemed very interested. They told me, well, give us a call back in a day or two, and we'll discuss it. So that's what I did. I waited. And I guess about the fourth or fifth day, I called one of the stations up, talked to the news guy, and he told me, he said, I don't even want to talk about it. I mean, he did not want to talk about it. So I don't know what happened, what he had heard, or he just lost interest, but He just didn't want to talk about it. So
normally what happens,
I don't know if
normally
it was a cover up or what.
Well, normally what happens there, and I can say from my own experience, because when I was in broadcasting school, I had to do this practicum, at Global News Television. And I thought it was just a big waste of time because I knew I wanted to go radio. I mean, when you have a face for radio, it's just very easy to make that assumption that you're going into radio and not television. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't one of the pretty boys or pretty girls. And long story short, I got to say this. I sat at that research desk as a rookie, completely green, and was taking phone calls about, these stories. And we got UFO stories there. We got monster stories, ghost stories, people begging for the camera. And what happens is when that story goes to the editor is the one who either says, is this worth a reporter's time to send a camera down or not? And 9.5 times out of 10, they're going to say no. And I think you got screwed over by that, my friend.
That may have been what it was. I mean, I thought of that, but I just, it was interesting though. I would have liked to have a little bit of verification, though. Later on, I did, after I got on the internet and such, I did get an email from a SYFY police officer who verified that he was there that day, and he was aware of what was going on, and. But later on, when I did the episode for Monsters and Mysteries in America, the town council was looking into this and checking the records of the police officers, the local police, the police department, and there were no records of this, the call or anything.
So, Weird.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is when it comes to cryptids? That law enforcement really seem to play down the story. And I'll give you an example up here. I know our forest rangers who drive around. Mm-hmm. They know things are happening in the forest. They've seen it. However, they've been instructed that basically if you want your job or you want to keep your job, best not to talk about it. Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, I guess the powers that be. I mean, I don't know if it's. I don't know. It seems to me that they're on the assumption that if they start talking or start mentioning this, that it's going to cause issues as far as people that go out and go into the state parks and such, or start fearing that they may see something like this and they'll end up getting a whole bunch of crank calls eventually. I don't know. That goes on everywhere. Here in Pennsylvania, Butch and I have noticed that for years. Where people make these calls about big cats, mountain lions, and we know they're around. Even down in Maryland was the same thing. I actually saw one in Maryland back in the 80s, and it was definitely a mountain lion. And this was in an area about 20 miles west of Baltimore. So it was in Carroll County, Maryland. But, you call it a DNR back there, they just think you're nuts. I mean, they don't want to talk to you. But I do know here in Pennsylvania, it's the same story, but these upright canine sightings, we have gotten a little bit of verification from game commission officers. And in fact, we had one game commission officer who, with his wife and two other couples, actually saw one of these things. So, I guess if you just get the right one, they will acknowledge it. But that's very few and far between.
I've asked the beautiful and talented Butch Witkowski this number of times, and I'll ask you your opinion on this. What is the fear of coming out and saying Bigfoot is real, or we have found evidence? Why are we so afraid to talk about this on a business level. We got thousands of sightings every year. The majority of them are not reported to anybody. It's just people having strange experiences and they don't want to talk about it anymore because it weirds them out, or maybe they don't know where to report it, Lon. But we know there are these officials out there who have evidence, sightings, reports coming on in. I don't understand the fear of it. Explain that to me.
I don't know. I wish I could explain it. But, I don't know what is behind the policy, but it seems that every game commission in the country, in the United States, even up in Canada, I suppose, had this, or the same mindset when it comes to cryptids. Bigfoot or anything else that's not supposed to be around. That's just the way it is. It's just like with these like I talked about the mountain lion sightings. I mean, nobody wants to really acknowledge it until maybe someone will see one and it does something. Then they'll say, yeah, well, there's a mountain lion running loose in Chicago, which happened a couple of years ago. Yeah, I mean, they just do not want to acknowledge this. And as far as Bigfoot goes, the reason behind it, I can't explain it.
Is it money?
Maybe. There may be a lot of reasons behind. I got a story not long ago from a guy who called me. He was down at the area that lake, that land between the lake down in Kentucky, where there has been a tradition of seeing these upright canines. And he called me after he had an encounter. He had actually, it was him and his mother and his brother, and they actually saw a print. They couldn't determine what this print was. He said it was a very elongated, wide at the top. He said it looked like a elongated canine print, but he just wasn't really sure what it was. And it was pretty distinguishable. I was kind of frustrated with him that he didn't take a photograph of it. But he said they called it over one of the rangers that was there. He looked at it and he acted like he didn't want to talk about it. So, they went up a trail. I don't know, just a couple of miles away from there. They were actually hiking in the woods, and they encountered one of these things. They encountered an upright canine at a little bit of a distance, but it was kind of on a rise to where they got a good backlight from the sky of this thing. And he said it was definitely an upright wolf or canine or whatever. And this thing just acted very aggressive, but then backed off and then ran into the woods. And he said his brother and mother ran off behind him, and they were screaming at him to come with them. Then he said he was standing there watching this thing run in the woods, and then he thought that, well, maybe this thing might back around and cut us off on the trail. So he hightailed it out of there. So he called me that night and to tell me what he had seen. And I asked him about that print. I said, is there any way you can go back and get a photograph of the print? And he said, sure. So he went back the next day, and lo and behold, somebody had literally scraped that area down. He said it looked like somebody took a bulldozer and skimmed the top of it off. The grass, ground, everything.
Wow. Okay, when that happens, okay, and you see these clues and the footprints and bark ripped off a tree or scratches down a tree that don't resemble a bear, a raccoon, or a porcupine or whatever it may be, what do you make of that? Because I know where we have our gifting site, Lon, my buddy and I have a gifting site, and probably 9-10 feet up. Yes, it's in bear territory, but bears usually don't rip bark off. They'll scratch, and you'll be able to. They'll leave scratch marks on a tree, but I mean, maybe even a little bit higher than that. I know Mark's in the chat room right now, and he could confirm it. But I mean, this was bark ripped right off, and the tree was basically sapping up on itself. And we kind of looked at that and we were like, oh, that's kind of strange where it is. So immediately you start drawing the lines. Okay, is it porcupines? Okay, there's no porcupine scratches going up the trees. And for people who do not know, porcupines actually do climb trees. There's no bear markings. Yeah. There's no chipmunk markings. It's too big for a chipmunk. It almost looks like it was pulled off. And, when you're looking for signs like that, right in the middle of the forest, if you don't know what you're looking for, they really are easy to miss.
Yeah. From some of the evidence that I've gotten from people and things I've seen from photographs, these Bigfoot seem to have a habit of reaching up on trees and either breaking branches or pulling bark off. They seem to do that. That it's not a bear. A bear won't do that. A bear may scratch down lower, but most of the time they're just rubbing their butt along a tree, and that's about most of what they'll do. Black bear, brown bear, any of them. Mm-hmm. So I when you see something like that, you've got to be thinking, this is something other than a bear.
Yeah. I knocked down a tree last year with my chainsaw, and it had bear claw markings all over it. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about this, I'm like, geez, why didn't I take that one piece home? Just take that one piece home. That would have been really cool to put in the studio. Have a little team stump right in the studio with bear scratches on it, But nonetheless, Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're talking monsters. I think one of the biggest mysteries with the Bigfoot and the sightings and everything that we have is why haven't we found a body? Why haven't we found that ultimate evidence to prove this? And asking you earlier in a roundabout way why the, police or the forest rangers or anybody are kind of denying this. Do you think there is something ominous or evil about this creature they don't want to talk about that they may know?
I guess that's a possibility, but I think that a lot of these cryptids may have an interdimensional or supernatural aspect to them. It seems in the cryptid and Bigfoot worlds that's becoming a more popular thing to say. I know back a decade ago when I talk about that, people didn't want to talk to you. They think you're crazy. But the fact that we haven't found any bodies, we haven't found as much evidence that we should be finding with a creature that seems to be fairly prevalent in certain areas, tends to make me believe that they're either very good at hiding to the point like they're ghost, or they're moving in and out some way that we just don't understand.
So if they're moving in a way, and that's kind of what I believe, though, they're moving in ways that we cannot understand. What is the smoking gun, Lon, outside of a body? We've been looking for 100 years to try and find a Sasquatch body, and we've had a number of hoaxes over time with this. But outside of a body, since we don't have one for scientific, research, what's the smoking gun that we should be looking for, or where are we not looking?
I wish I could answer that. I don't think, first of all, if there is a physical way of collecting a body at some point, that would be it. But I just don't know at this point where we're going to get there. If somebody is lucky enough to either photograph or digitally record one of these things, possibly manifesting from, some type of physical form into whatever it is they manifest into. I don't know. I mean, I've always thought that the physical body was, the epitome of what we were looking for. But, at this point now, I just don't really know what it's going to be. It's got to be something to where people are going to believe it. But, I think unless there is a body, there's just going to be a lot of skeptics.
As we have. One question I do have with evidence, I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've talked to a lot of Sasquatch researchers over the years. Why do we mainly only find one print? And rarely ever a trail, just one print. And the weird part about it is most of those prints always happen to be a right foot print.
Yeah, that's a bit of an enigma. I mean, I have heard all kinds of stories of where a trail of prints would just suddenly end, like this thing took off or disappeared somehow. My buddy J.C. Johnson used to tell me about the prints that he would see in a line in a trail, and they get wider and wider apart as if the thing had a running start of some type and took off. I don't know. Is it that they're actually, vanishing or kind of dematerializing themselves somehow? Who knows? But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of instances where there's one print.
Yeah, because the two that I have seen that we have found in our area, they're both different sizes. They're both right feet. And other prints that I've talked to people, I've often asked them, I said, well, was it the right foot or the left foot? And they're like, oh, I don't know. And they all of a sudden go check on their photo or whatever. And it's a right foot. It's a right foot. Only like twice I've heard it's the left foot. These are found in areas, Lon, where there's not a lot of human traffic. And I think that's the misconception with a lot of skeptics. It's easy if you go to your local forest for somebody to go in there and scam some make some footprint tracks and go around in the soft soil and the forest padding and go and drop some footprints in there. But when you're in the middle of nowhere, like where I live, where these are popping up, something has to be out there. It just has to.
Yeah. And I've been thinking about this recently because of the shutdown, lockdowns, and everything. There's less people out, and there's less intrusion into these areas. Who's to say that this continues for how long now? And these things start to get a little used to not being messed with or seeing human activity. I seriously think that when we come out of this, it may be an opportune time to see one of these things out in the open if it's in an area where these things are actually corporeal beings.
We've talked about that too. Now is the time to see it, as we got about a minute to go here. Now is the time to see it. If you can get out to the forest, if you're not fully locked down, get out there. Now is the time with nobody there. I mean, if we could prove it, this is the open window that we've been looking for, is it not?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe so.
Now we just got to get out there. We just got to get out there. We'll have to see about that. We will have to see. When are you going out? Are you guys still locked down in Pennsylvania right now where you can't move?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's pretty tight here. I don't really expect, because I know Butch is chomping at the bit to get out.
He's almost ready to gnaw off his leash.
Oh, man, I'm telling you, he's getting angrier each day. I don't think we're going to be clear to do anything like that till at least June or July.
On that note, my friend, we're going to take audience questions, and we're going to learn about your brand new book, Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook, which can be found on Amazon right now. Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. He's got a fantastic website coming in at phantomsandmonsters.com. So make sure you come on in and check it on out. Lon Strickler continues with us on Spaced Out Radio into Hour 2 next. Lon, I'm just going to run my dog outside. I'll be right back. And
No problem.
we've got about 7 minutes here, okay?
Okay.
Okay, I'll be right back, YouTube. Here's the commercials.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the story you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app. Free in Google Play and the iOS Store.
All right, I'm back, Lon. We've got about 3.5 minutes.
Okay. Well, I'm in the chat now.
Oh, yeah, it's cruising, man.
There's a lot of people in there.
Oh, yeah.
I'm thinking about maybe setting one of these up for my show.
Oh, you totally should, man. You totally should.
Yeah.
It's been great. It's been absolutely great. Yeah, we started it about 2 months ago now, and the response has been fantastic from our audience.
Good. Yeah, I've had people tell me I ought to do it, so I kind of like your setup, so I think,
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Got some questions coming in from everybody. Hey, if you're on YouTube, do me a favor and repost your questions, and I will ask them to Lon coming up here. If you don't mind, I'd greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Hi, Nathan. How you doing? Good to have you on in here. HL, how you doing? Who else is new in here? Brutus, how you doing? Zach, thank you for coming on in. What's grinding against my microphone? Probably my chin hair, because my beard's getting pretty thick. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. She likes it when I say hi 3 times in a row. It's superstition for her. All right, Lon Strickler's in the chat room, everyone. He's watching. You can all wave to him. Everybody give Lon a wave. There you go. Hey, there's Lon Strickler. Look at that. Look at that. Can I show you the studio? I'll show you the studio next break. I've got a lot of stuff I need to move around here. I've been reshaping it, so there's some boxes everywhere. Hi, Laura. How are you? Thank you for coming on in. I appreciate that. All right, we've got about a minute, Lon.
Okay.
All right. And the questions will start rolling on in here. And let's see here. All right, 30 seconds. Hi, Block Chick. How are you? Thank you for coming in. Good to see you again. Spookles, how are you? Hi, Spookles. I know the secret identity of Spookles, but she said that she would kick my ass if I ever gave it up, so I'm like never going to do that because she could hurt me. Hey, everybody, we want to say thank you to Inzane, Greco, and Jesus for jumping on in the super chat here. We really do appreciate the support and the love that you guys give us. Thank you so much. Here's hour number 2. Music's
You're
on.
Listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook.
Here we go,
Spaced Out Radio Show.
Okay.
Welcome back to hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time. We welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across North America and on the digital side on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free. All you got to do is go to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor. Hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire and much more. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pagophagia. Pagophagia is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers. As the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Yeah. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio for the show and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. From phantomsandmonsters.com, one of the best cryptid investigators in North America, Lon Strickler, is with us tonight. You can go on Amazon. He's got about 168,000 books on everything monsters, but his newest one is called Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook. And we're going to get into this and your questions in the chat room. PBR is asking right off the bat, Lon, how many Bigfoot sightings have you had?
Just that one in 1981.
You've been waiting almost 40 years for your second one. That's tough.
I guess you can look at it that way.
That is tough, my friend. That is very tough, man. And I'm going nuts here because mine happened in 2013, and I'm going on 7 years here, and I'm itching. I've been close. I know I've been close, but I'm still itching. You know, are you upset that you've only had the one?
Not really. I've looked into this phenomenon for a long time. I haven't really been out there looking for this thing as opposed to a lot of investigators. I'm more into the research, disseminating the sightings, reports, and such at this point now. I do have a team, the Phantoms and Monsters Fortean research team. We've got people all across North America that are part of the team. A lot of those are investigators that do the work on site, and I kind of leave it up to them at this point.
All right. Joey is asking in the Spaced Out Radio SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, how do you account, Lon, for the limited size of wings of these anthropomorphic winged cryptids as it relates to their ability to actually fly?
That's a pretty good question. The size of the wings, if this was on an actual creature or a corporeal creature, I believe these are supernatural beings. I believe that there's definitely something unexplained as to how they propel themselves. The wings themselves, for the most part, are not either shaped or big enough to give them the ability to move the way they do. That's always been a bugaboo with me about this. We do see them actually flying. Very few times we see them flapping their wings. But we do see them moving at pretty good speeds, but it's most of the time gliding, and the wings aren't moving.
That's weird. How would it take off then if the wings don't move?
Well, that's one of the enigmas with this. So many times we have seen or have been told that these things can slowly ascend up from a standing position, or will suddenly ascend quickly like a rocket. That's kind of the way people describe it. They have very great maneuverability. Some of those that have been seen in Chicago, especially along the river, have been seen ducking under and above bridges like it's actually, it does seem supernatural the way they move about.
All right, this leads to Gail's question. When the rapid no wing flapping ascension occurred in your sighting, was there any sound or did it rise in silence?
Oh no, this thing took off. There was a definite whooshing sound. The wings never came out. However this thing propelled itself up into the air, I have no idea, because the wings were on the back. And we have been told this, the same way people described it as well, that it does literally jettison itself into the air. Now, a lot of times when this happens, it'll get to an apex, kind of hover without the wings, then spread the wings out and let out a screaming sound and then move off.
Oh, wow. All right, follow up from Gail. She says, here's a question I can't figure out. In the dark, you can't tell the color of anyone's eyes. How is it that all the reports of these winged humanoids, including your own sighting, say it had red eyes? Were the red eyes glowing from within?
Oh, they're glowing. I've asked a lot of people this. I know personally that the eyes were glowing. When I asked the witnesses, the red eyes, are they bright? Do they undulate of some type? I had one witness that said that they undulated, kind of faded in and out as it was hovering in front of her. They are very bright. How this happens, we don't know, but they are quite bright.
All right. In our YouTube chat, which goes every night, very strong, Laura is asking, are there a lot of sightings or any in Northern California?
No, offhand, I can't think of any, though I know there have been. The one winged being we do get more than anything else, and it's in the book, in Central California, the Central Valley area, are these dragons. Literally dragons, big dragons. I have had 2 reports in the same area in Central California of these huge dragons. And what they are, I have no idea. But we've also gotten the same type of sightings in New Jersey, of all places. So, I mean, most of the dragon sightings I've been privy to have happened in either New Jersey or the Central Valley of California.
Well, I can tell you this. Seeing dragons would scare the daylights out of me. How the hell are we seeing dragons, man? Those are never supposed to exist, let alone be flying around in the skies. Are we sure it wasn't a kite or anything?
Well, the one description of one of the sightings in New Jersey was that there was actually 2 people who saw this thing. The cars, they were on the road. This thing flew over top of them. He told me that the thing was longer than the 2 cars, and it extended beyond that. I asked him he said it looked like one of those medieval dragons you see on TV. He says very similar, large wings and such. And he said there was even some physical characteristics. He actually got out of the car and was standing there when this thing flew over the next time, because it came back and went over again. And he said he could feel the actual wind coming off the wings. So the guy in the other vehicle, he took off because he wasn't getting out. But he did. He said he felt the air coming off the wings of this thing.
All right, let's move on to another question. Kevin is asking, are they fairies or angels?
Some people do believe that there is some connection there, some type. Are they alien, non-terrestrial beings? I think it's very possible. I personally myself believe they are a summoned being, that something on our earth plane has summoned them to come in certain areas. In fact, I believe the Mothman of Point Pleasant was actually a summoned being, just because of the location and the rich history of the native people that exist there, and all the paranormal activity that has happened there, especially around the West Virginia Ordnance Works. Some of the EVPs and phenomena that I have been shown and listened to over the years has convinced me that there is at least a very strong spirit there that I believe has summoned or did summon that being there between 66 and 67.
Chris is asking, are governments abusing cryptids for their needs, or did they even create some of them?
Yeah, that's possible on both sides. I have investigated the Bigfoot phenomena in Maryland in particular, and I have had witnesses, former government people and military people, swear to me that there are facilities in Maryland that have that do hold these beings. Now, why that is, I don't know, but unfortunately, there's no real proof. It's all anecdotal. You kind of have to go with the reputation or what you think the person, how the person is discussing this with you or what they're telling you, and then follow up on it and check it out. But I have been told that several times. And not only in Maryland. I've been told that in other places as well.
All right. Philip is asking if they're ever seen in family groups.
Yeah, occasionally. Most family groups where you may have a pod or actual family group are in areas where I believe there's a good possibility of indigenous Bigfoot, that these hairy hominids are actually indigenous. Your neck of the woods, the Pacific Northwest, I believe for the most part that these are indigenous beings, that they do inhabit the area. Florida, the skunk ape, I think is a natural being. Some parts of Louisiana, Arkansas, eastern Texas, I believe those are also possibly indigenous areas. But overall, I think, and especially most parts of the United States where these are seen at, I think they're probably a supernatural being.
Brutus is asking, could drones explain any of these? Have you ever considered any other hypothesis besides real manifestations?
Now, if you're talking about drones actually seeing these things from above, I guess it's a good possibility to use that as, some type of investigative technique, especially now. We talked earlier about that these beings and most cryptids, since there's not a lot of people out there moving about, they may open themselves up to a possible sighting, and having drones out there. That might be a good way of getting a good look at them.
Darcy is asking, Lon, have you ever received any reports of flying manta rays?
Oh, yeah, that's something that's in the book. I have a chapter about the flying manta rays, the flying manta ray shaped beings. This is a phenomenon that I've been looking in personally for the last decade or so. I started receiving reports along the Ohio River Valley, not unlike areas where the Mothman sightings have taken place. Now, these manta ray-shaped beings are manta ray-shaped, possibly biocraft of some type. They do look like a manta ray, but they come in all different sizes. Anywhere from a couple feet to fairly large beings. They do fly in the air. They undulate like an actual stingray, a manta ray would in the water. They're usually seen around an area where there is some type of water, either a stream, or a river, or a lake. I have had sightings along the Ohio River Valley. Virginia, I had one in California, I had one in Long Island, and a couple in Kentucky and Tennessee.
Gary is asking, Lon, if the reports of the different color eye shine on all cryptids is caused by our own interpretation, what happens if we're colorblind or they're colorblind?
Oh, that's getting a little deep. I don't know. That's a hard one to kind of answer. It does seem that specific cryptids do have specific types of either eye shine, a hue of eye shine, or in particular, like the upright canines. Most of the time, they're described with like a yellowish type of eye shine. Bigfoot, anywhere from a like an orangish to red eye shine. So I don't know. I mean, it just does seem. And look, we don't get this eye shine, this characteristic on all sightings. This is something that will occasionally pop up, but in the cases where it is described, it's pretty profound.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Lon Strickler. Tonight, we're talking all things cryptid, and I think we got one or two more questions here before we have to. We'll take this one, and then we're going to get into your book, which is Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures casebook, which can be found on Amazon right now. I got to ask you from Greco here, are there any flying Bigfoot, dogmen, or lizard people?
We did have a report of this was actually in Woodstock, Illinois, and we had 3 sightings of this Bigfoot-like creature that had wings. Now, I don't think anybody actually saw the thing flying, but the descriptions were pretty similar, and the encounters were very close. So they got a good look at this thing. We did get a couple prints that we believe were valid prints in the snow, because this happened in the wintertime. There have been various types of cryptids with wings. Linda Godfrey wrote about the bat squatch sightings up in around La Crosse, Wisconsin. For years, those have been seen. There are other types of maybe hairy hominids or smaller hairy creatures that have had wings. But yeah, the actual Bigfoot with a wing, that's something that was reported to us. And in fact, one of the reports was made to the local police department, and my colleague Tobias Whalen got a FOIA report of that actual call to the police.
Oh, really? What did that have to say?
Well, the police officer went out there and looked at the location, and the witness basically told him that he saw a Bigfoot with wings. He didn't know what it was, but it was in the very similar location as to one of the other reports, previous report. And he had not heard of the report. And there was another one outside of town, not far away from there. But yeah, this, that's what he told the cop.
All right. Question from Philip. Is there some type of human activity that certain cryptids seem to be drawn to?
I think they're all curious. I know Bigfoot is. I have talked to people who said that they'd either have a group and they'd be taught, like at a picnic or something, or they'd be cooking food, and they'd get curious and they'd come up to the group at a distance, of course, but they would be seen. I think some of these winged humanoid sightings in Chicago may have been precipitated because of either group activity or someone had actually drawn its attention. So yeah, I think that's very possible.
All right, you got a brand new book out, and I kind of joked at the beginning that you got about 186,000 books out there, but I mean, it seems like you're popping out a book every 3 or 4 days. I don't know how you do it with as much information that you do, and I mean that with all due respect and compliment, my friend. You've written about everything from cryptid encounters to Bigfoot to Dogman to the bipedal canines, aliens, disclosure. You've jumped into the fray big time with all of this, Lon. How do you do it? Where do you find the energy, as we got about 45 seconds to go here before we go to break? Where do you find the energy to write all of this?
I guess I get my energy from the people who make the reports. I'm committed 100% to this. I do the blog every day. I take reports from people directly by phone or email every day and talk to people. It's at the point now where I feel kind of obligated to put it out there. And, I guess it's a labor of love. You don't almost have to do as much as I do with it.
I hear you there. Lon Strickler is our guest tonight. We're going to get into his book next. Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook. This is going to be a good one, everyone. And you want to make sure that you check it on out. You can find the book on Amazon. Lon's website is phantomsandmonsters.com. It is always updated. A great source of information for everything that is weird and strange happening around the world. More with Lon Strickler on Spaced Out Radio coming on up. That's a good half hour, solid half hour right there, Lon. I think we're going to have to clap for you for that one, my friend.
Well, I like taking questions.
Oh,
I never thought I would when I first started doing radio, but I do like taking questions.
Well, you got the beard for it, my friend. You got the beard for it. Oh. Do you have any good Canadian sightings recently? I need some for tomorrow night.
I sent you one. I'll go digging in the archives, see what I can come up with something.
I'm looking right now because I just remembered that I need to do my hit tomorrow night. Oh, yes. What do we got here? The hell is that dead there? Dead cat of some sort you got a photo of?
Oh, that was an upright canine that was seen down in west central Louisiana about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and that bobcat. Well, the witness believes that canine killed that bobcat.
Really?
And that's about a 90 to 100-pound bobcat. That's a big one. And there was no blood or anything, but he said it looked like it was slammed and beat up.
Oh, wow, man.
I did try to take a photo of this thing. It's too pixelated because of the camera phone.
Right.
But you can kind of see a little bit of it. But, I mean, it scared the bejesus out of him and his daughter.
No kidding. No kidding.
Green eyes, too.
All right. Because the last story I got from you was the those, well, what were those walking things? The night crawlers.
Yeah,
those things are just weird. Those things are just weird.
And we're getting a lot of them too. Man, we are getting a ton of them. You know, I had Stan Gordon on the other night, and we talked about it for a while, and it's popping up around here too. In fact, Butch has got a case he's looking into. You might want to talk to Butch about that. He's chomping to get out there and investigate it, but it's right down the road from him.
I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the sightings seem very similar to some of the Wendigo sightings we had over the years, but we just don't really see any cannibalism or flesh eating out of these things. They just seem to show up and scare the hell out of people.
Yeah, no kidding. No kidding. All right, we got lots of time here, man. This is moving on quick here, man. Moving on quick. All right. Let's see what old Ryan has. It's been a boring week, man. Boring week. Then on Friday, I got I figured I'll sleep in a little bit. Sleep in. And I find out that the dude who fired me from my job, because I have a daytime job too, and the dude who fired me from my job, like the prick that he is, on New Year's Eve got fired by my buddy who was his so-called partner on Friday morning. I get a call at 9:38 a.m. I need you back here. Get your ass in here. All right, here we go. So now I'm working double duty with helping out my buddy and doing this radio show now. Mm-hmm. So, getting my ass kicked, but I probably deserve it. But the main thing is my hair looks fantastic. My hair looks fantastic. And that's all that matters. Yes.
I tried to let mine grow like that when my wife was still alive. She used to raise hell with me.
She didn't like it when you grew your hair out?
Nah, she really didn't.
Oh, man.
I started getting into a ponytail, and it got to the point where she was really hating on it.
I remember that. You know, I remember seeing the pictures that you posted. Your wife was a beautiful, beautiful woman, my friend. Beautiful woman.
33 years we were together.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, buddy. We got 1 minute. 1 minute. All right. 40 seconds. Thank you, Shanna, for saying that my hair is looking fantastic. Thank you, beautiful Heather and beautiful Cruz. I appreciate that. All right. Reminder to everybody, we do have the super chat open, along with good way to support this show is give us a thumbs up for this episode. Hit that subscribe button. Do a little shopping at the SOR Vault on our website. And what else can you do? How about join our Space Travelers Club for $5 a month? Here we go with the second half of the show starting here in about 10 seconds. Let's listen to some thunder. Feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Thunder. Feel the thunder. Lightning and the thunder. Bumblefoot. Here we go. We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Really appreciate you taking the time. Want to remind all of you that if you have missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including Rocking Out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter, will you? At Spaced Out Radio for the show, and my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Want to give a shout out to a beautiful fan of this show, Heather, and she is partying and introducing her friend, Cruz, who is celebrating a birthday tonight in Las Vegas. Sorry it's not on the Strip. Sorry old Davey can't be there in Vegas with you partying, but happy birthday, Cruz, nonetheless. Hope you have just a beautiful, beautiful day. Tonight we are talking with Lon Strickler. Phantomsandmonsters.com is his website. Got a great book out that you can find right now on Amazon called Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook. Lon, thank you so much for joining us. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Tell us about this book. What led you to this book about winged cryptids?
Well, I had written a book back in end of 2017 about the winged humanoid sightings that had been going on in Chicago for the previous year, and some other sightings that happened previous to that. So I kind of left it hanging there after the end of 2017. I went and did another book, considered alien disclosure with experiencers and abductions. So I decided to go ahead and pick up with all the sightings that had continued after 2017 in the Chicagoland area. Decided to put it in a book, but then I wanted to cover some of the other strange sightings that I had been given to me or I had worked on over the years. And all these cases that are listed in this book are actual cases that were sent to me or that I or one of my team investigated. So, it's just not something I pulled off the internet somewhere.
a lot of these cases are about I'm going to call them the new Mothman sightings in the Chicago area and what people are seeing there. Let's go back in time a little bit of when and how that started.
Well, the first sightings that kind of got some attention were back in 2011, and there were 3 sightings in July, August, and September in South Chicago. They were described as very similar to what people are seeing now as dark humanoid, emaciated humanoids with wings that kind of look more Mothman-like or insectoid-like. There was actually a photograph taken of one of these beings flying. The person who took the photograph, they actually just, because they were from Australia, they had actually said it looked like an oversized sugar glider. It was kind of a strange wing formation, but it did look like maybe a Luna moth type of formation of the wings. It was quite different and very different to what people have been saying now. So anyway, that was back in 2011. And over the years, before 2017, I'd get a sighting either here or there. Nothing spectacular that came out of the Chicago area. And but I never really thought too much about it. Then, of course, when 2017 rolled around, in March and April, a bunch of sightings were coming onto the MUFON case management system. So my colleague Manuel Navarrete, who lives in Chicago, brought it to my attention that these sightings were being reported. He's a UFO investigator, and his website's UFOclearinghouse.com. He mentioned that these sightings were coming up, but of course, when it reported to MUFON, you don't get the information or contact information. But we were lucky enough to be able to track down one of these witnesses. This was a woman who was walking her dog, professional woman, actually lawyer, who was walking her dog in Oz Park, in I guess that is North Chicago, and they were walking into the park. It was at night. And she noticed this thing standing on the sidewalk in the park. Huge. I mean, 6 to 7 foot in height, with wings that kind of extended over top the being. Huge wings in its back. And it had red eyes. And the thing looked at her. The dog, it was a Jack Russell dog. He cowered behind her. He wanted nothing to do with this thing. And as this thing looked at her, it just jettisoned itself up into the air. The wings never came out. And then when it went up into the darkness, she heard it screaming. So that was her report to MUFON. So not long afterwards, there were a couple other sightings, one in Humboldt Park, another further south at a nighttime market where there were deliveries coming in at night for the market, where several people saw this. They called it, now these 2 sightings were called Lacusas, or like a bat, like a owl man. And the description was very similar to a huge owl that had humanoid features to it. 6 foot height, owl-like wings with possibly feathers, and red eyes. So this kind of evolved. I guess the first 3 or 4 sightings came directly into MUFON. So we put it out there onto Google. I started running an advertisement on Google for basically, that if you see a winged humanoid or some being that people are calling the Chicago Mothman, to contact me. Well, we started getting these calls, but most of the calls were coming from people who had seen it and then actually found my information after they had Googled it, after Googling flying man, flying being, or whatever. The witnesses did not know of any of the earlier sightings, and that continued on for a long time. I don't think I had the first witness who had any inkling of what had been going on until maybe midsummer, maybe like 40 sightings later. The sightings in Chicago were kind of scattered, but there were some locations where many of the sightings were being, taken at. The Navy Pier along Lakeshore Drive in Chicago, there were a lot of sightings. There were some sightings near the Adler Planetarium by several people. Then in neighborhoods, the Little Village neighborhood in Chicago, I believe, and we had 9 sightings in 2017. Lincoln Park was another hot spot. So, it did seem that, to me personally, that there was actually more than one being showing up. In fact, I did believe and still believe that there were possibly 3 different winged beings of some type that were showing up anywhere from northwest Indiana, which really isn't that far from the Chicago limits, up into the Illinois state line, up into Wisconsin. And since that time, these sightings have kind of migrated out beyond the city, though we still do get sightings in the city. In particularly, since October of last year, we have been getting a lot of sightings in and around O'Hare International.
Do you think it's the air traffic that is having these sightings with the Mothman that's maybe intriguing it? Because, let's face it, O'Hare is the most busy airport in North America. That's dangerous.
Yeah, it is. And that might have something to do with it. But I do believe at this point, especially with the sightings in Rosemont and the suburb of O'Hare and O'Hare itself, I kind of believe there's either a UFO or extraterrestrial connection with that.
Why?
And I say that because there was a sighting in Rosemont to where the witness, and she was a very credible witness, said that she was out at night, she couldn't sleep. I don't know if it was because she had some type of inclination or something, but she went and did something that she usually does. She walked out to the park, which is near her residence. She was sitting in the park. It was at night, and there was a building in the park near the waterfalls that had a light above the building, and she said she saw a 6-foot-tall winged humanoid, an alien gray, and 2 female humanoids together. And of course, when I was first told this, all kinds of stuff going on in my head, because this is the first time we've really had any type of multiple entity together like that. Well, anyway, what really set her off was, as she was watching these beings, there was a bright blue flash of light, and the other 3 beings vanished, the gray and the 2 female humanoids, and the winged being walked off and literally took off, flapping its wings. Now, that sighting was very interesting for another reason. she told us that 2 days later, she was at work. She was professional. She was in the cafeteria at her work, and her friend was with her, but her friend had gone to the restroom. This individual, who was a man that had like a dark coat on, walked up to her and asked her about her sighting. Now, she hadn't talked to anybody, and literally she hadn't talked to anybody yet. She had sent us an email, but she hadn't talked to anybody. And she had put some description. Now, I don't believe the email was either picked off somewhere or I don't know. But anyway, this guy insisted with her that she not talk to anybody about this but him. The gentleman, it was definitely a man. He just wore a coat, no hat or anything. She really said she really couldn't get a description of him. He was just kind of like, I don't know, I guess it shocked her when it happened more than anything else. And when she asked him who he was, he just turned around and left. So, that had us intrigued. I mean, we were getting these sightings in the Rosamond area, very near O'Hare. And, of course, we were getting these within days and weeks of each other. But it did seem like there was something to do with the airport involved. Well, anyway, we started getting reports in the airport property itself. The first real substantial report was actually taken and seen by a TSA officer. And he had, it was at night. He was driving his security truck around one of the cargo areas, and he came upon, and there's like a drainage stream that runs into property. And he said he drove up on this, what he thought was a man standing in the drainage stream. And he thought he was in there relieving himself. So he stops the truck, gets out, walks down there, and yells to the guy. He said this thing turned around and looked at him with the red eyes and the wings. And then he realized this was no man. And this thing kind of moved off and took off. We also later had another sighting from another security guard who was hired by one of the cargo companies. That they, by this time there were other people trying to sneak onto their property because of these reports. The airport personnel, the airport managers, they were all aware of these sighting reports around the airport. And they were definitely telling their employees, because we were told, they were telling the employees not to talk to anybody. And, when the employees would question them what it was, they said it was probably just a big owl. That was their explanation. Well, anyway, one of these security guards was out patrolling his area, one of the cargo areas. And it was actually not far from the tarmac, because there was a fence there between the cargo area and the tarmac. And he saw what he thought was a man standing there observing flights coming in and out. When he got out and looked, again, we have a winged humanoid just standing there looking at him. And he said it literally scared him to death. He did not remain. He ran back up to his truck and took off. Another sighting that we did receive, and I don't really know if this is connected to these winged humanoids, but it's very interesting because many people don't know O'Hare has a small cemetery on the property. It's called Rest Haven Cemetery. It's by one of the cargo areas on the west side of the airport. This cargo area worker was out about 1 o'clock in the morning taking a smoke break. he said that this small cemetery just sits across the road from where he was. And he said he literally saw an oval, brightly lit oval UFO quickly move above the cemetery and just hover above it. And he says as he observed this brightly lit UFO, some type of humanoid ascended up into the craft. Now, of course, we asked him if it had wings. He said he couldn't tell. But he said, you know, who's out in the middle of a cemetery at 1 o'clock in the morning and gets lifted up into a UFO? So that you know, now I'm starting to believe that there may be some type of extraterrestrial, non-terrestrial, something else involved with these sightings.
And what leads you to that there is something tied to UFOs with this? Is it because, you know, we don't know what these UFOs are sending down?
Well, you know, that's just it. Are they actually sending something down and picking them up, or what's going on? You know, the fact that we've had 2 reports now that have had some type of unexplained or unknown being with these winged humanoids, you know, it's food for thought. It will get your imagination going, but it's nothing similar to what we've received before.
Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We got about 2.5, 3 minutes before we have to go to break here at the top of the hour, Lon. You know, when you look at these reports in and out of Chicago, and I'll tell you right now, if I walk up on 2 aliens, a Mothman, and 2 female humanoids, that's a party I want to attend. That is completely a party I want to attend. You know, I'm not going to deny that. Even if I have to go for a ride and maybe never come back, I'm going. I have to. But, you know, this thing seems to be scaring people, and people are genuinely scared when they see something they cannot explain. But has this creature been known to attack at all?
The sightings that we've received in and around Chicago it does not exhibit much as far as aggressiveness. It may take a step or two towards the witness, but it's not aggressive. We had one sighting where in Little Village in Petrosky Park, where there was a couple that were in a car in the middle of the night, and this thing landed on the hood of the car. And the female told us that it was scratching on the windshield like it was trying to get in. But other than that, we haven't received any aggressive reports.
Really? That surprises me, considering that this creature looks so ominous.
Yeah, it is. I mean, as opposed to what happened in Point Pleasant, that thing literally chased people down the road out of the UFO the TNT area, or the West Virginia Ordnance Works. That being was somewhat aggressive, but that's not what we're running into out and around Chicago.
Why do you think the one in Point Pleasant was so ominous? And you know what? Let's save this question for when we get back from the break, because I think, you know, there's a big definition there that needs to be explained. I mean, the one in Point Pleasant, people think it was an omen setter or something along those lines, you know, that led to the Silver Bridge collapse. But the other side is nothing like that has happened in Chicago yet. And we're all waiting. We are all waiting, and nothing fun has happened, or dangerous, or horrific. I don't know. I really don't know. Lon Strickler is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio, and we're talking about winged cryptids. Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures casebook can be found on Amazon right now, with about 24 of his other books because this guy puts out like a book every 8.5 days. I don't know how he does it, but he does, and he's one of the best at his job. Phantomsandmonsters.com is Lon's website. More with Lon Strickler in Hour 3. And the thought of the Dave. Happy birthday, Cruz. Welcome to your new year. We'll talk to you soon, right after the break, everyone. All right, buddy, I'm just going to run my dogs out. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
All right, let me find my other shoe here. My shoe!
So,
all right.
you love
I'll be right
talk
back.
radio, then you'll love TalkStreamLive.com. TalkStream Live is always on, 24/7, with the best streaming talk shows. Find your favorite talkers and discover some new ones. It's free, readily available online or on mobile with any smartphone or tablet. Finding your favorite talk shows all in one place has gotten a whole lot easier. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com. Be sure to download the free apps from Google Play or the iTunes App Store.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightline Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website, and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hi there, this is the paranormal lawyer Michael W. Hall. I'd like to invite you to listen in each Sunday night where we're going to open up your eyes to everything strange and paranormal. I will be hosting some great guests with topics that affect us all, such as UFOs, ghosts, and everything paranormal. Let's learn together on Spaced Out Radio Sunday with myself, Michael W. Hall, the paranormal lawyer at spacedoutradio.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We're adding to the entertainment online
All
for
right,
Spaced
I'm
Out
back,
Radio.
buddy.
I'm Amber Beckard, and
I'm back. Hey, Gutter, how you doing, man? Thanks for coming on into the chat room tonight. Appreciate that. All right. Oh, we got a packed house in here. We totally do. How you doing, Super Lon?
Hanging in there.
Oh, good.
Hoping my voice doesn't blow out on me.
Well, we only got about 20-some minutes left.
Okay.
All right. 20. Oh, we got about like 2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. Hold on. I got to fluff my locks here for a second. There we go. Now my hair is all ready to go. Two minutes, buddy.
Okay.
All right. Yes. People want to know, Lon, are you part of, for Devil's Tower, are you Team Stump or are you Team Rock?
You asked me that the last time.
I know. They want to know again.
Yeah, I had to go Rock.
Oh, Lon, you believe in fucking winged humanoids, but you don't believe that it was the tree of life. That hurts, man. Yes. I'm just teasing, buddy. I'm just teasing. What was I asking you right before the break? I forgot to write it down. Damn it. Oh.
Something to do about, I don't know.
If you remember what I was supposed to ask Lon, type it in the YouTube chat. I would appreciate that. I'm having a brain freeze right now. Don't forget, you can get your Team Stump t-shirts at spacedoutradio.com. You definitely need one. Oh, they're booing you now, Lon, for being on Team Rock. They're booing you now in the chat room. You lost them. You lost my audience.
Yeah, I see.
They're leaving in droves. I'm teasing. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much to everybody who's participated in the super chat tonight. It's a great way to support our show. A great way to support it, too, is give us a thumbs up if you do not mind. I would greatly appreciate it. Hey, let's kick off hour 3 right now.
Would you like to connect with us?
Music's on, my friend.
SpacedOutRadio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We are underway in the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us, each and every one of you. We want to welcome back everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates across the country, in the Canada and the United States, and on the digital side on TalkStream Live and Revolution Radio. Remember, all of our archives are free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Pajophagia. Pajophagia is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, we introduce Lon Strickler. Phantomsandmonsters.com is his website. He's got a great site out and a brand new book called Winged Cryptids, Humanoids, Monsters, and Anomalous Creatures Casebook. It is on Amazon, all with his other books as well. And Lon, right before the break, I got to thank Josh in the chat room for hitting me the reminder because I forgot to write it down. But right before the break, I was asking you about people thought at Point Pleasant, when the original Mothman sighting started in the 1960s, that it was some kind of a creature of omen before the collapse of the Silver Bridge. And now, with all the sightings that are in Chicago, there's nothing. There's been no disasters, nothing to prepare for. Are these two different creatures? Can we say that the creature in West Virginia was not some sort of omen demon?
Yeah, I don't really buy into the Harbinger portent of doom thing. I think the sightings in Point Pleasant, like I said earlier, were some type of summoned being, either a sentinel, some type, I don't know. That's what I believe. It seemed to be very aggressive in that one area, the TNT plant, where it would chase people out down the road out into the main highway. But as far as it being a harbinger, there were some people who said that they saw this winged being above the Silver Bridge before it collapsed. I guess the same evening. But, I think it had a lot more to do with the circumstances surrounding all that death in a small town. 46 people lost their lives that night. And what invariably happens when there's a tragedy like that, especially in a small town, people are looking for excuses as to why it happened. And I think that's the reason for the Harbinger theory. Of course, John Keel kind of expounded on that. I don't know. I don't believe it. For years, people have talked about there being a winged being seen before a tragedy. The only instance where I know that there was some type of winged being seen before a tragedy or a disaster was at Chernobyl. And there's documented evidence that this, what they called the Blackbird of Chernobyl, was seen flying above the plant several days before the meltdown. And that's the only instance I can really find of, something being seen before that. They talked about Fukushima and there being angels or winged beings above the power plant. The bridge collapse in Minneapolis, they talked about seeing a being, but I haven't really found any evidence other than possibly what happened in Chernobyl.
That is strange. Very, very strange. Renee wants to know because, and this is kind of a fun question for the night. All right. And we debate this with all of our guests now. What's your thoughts on eating breakfast meals for dinner?
I love it. My wife and I used to love doing it, have breakfast for dinner. We seriously, we'd cook the eggs, bacon, waffles, pancakes, or whatever. Yeah, that was kind of a tradition with us.
I swear I'm the only one arguing the point that breakfast foods are for breakfast. That's why they're called breakfast foods. Now my chat rooms are going to have a heyday with me on this one. I thought we were on the same team, but I guess not. I guess not. But let's continue on with the monster sightings and the winged humanoids and monsters. What else in your new book are you looking into for these flying winged? Is it mainly about the Chicago situation, or is there others out there that we're just not seeing or are lesser known?
Well, there has been a long history of pterosaur or pterodactyl type sightings all around the United States, actually. And there have been many sightings, again, in Illinois. Illinois seems to be a hot spot for winged cryptids. There have been these pterosaurs. There have been thunderbirds, or huge gargantuan winged cryptids. There's a lot of it that goes on in Illinois. Now, why that is, I don't know. But I had gotten investigations on that. Gargoyle sightings, which I guess can tie into the winged humanoid. We had a series of sightings around the same time that was going on in Chicago down in Pasco County, Florida, of these gargoyle-like beings. And the description was very similar to what people were seeing in Chicago. Of course, with the dragons and then the manta ray-shaped beings. There's a plethora of winged phenomena, but I guess those are probably the most prevalent.
Pterodactyls are something, I know there are reports here in British Columbia of these pterodactyls. I know they have been seen in Texas all the way to the Philippines, and they believe there is a migration route between Mexico and Texas, flying all the way across the Pacific. How often are these seen?
Pretty regular. I get regular reports of, these pterosaurs. These sightings. In the book, I had put in the book a posting that Dr. Wickham had sent to me as far as about his research into pterosaurs, and people who I have talked with that have had these sightings are pretty convincing. The elongated head with the pointed beak and the reptilian membrane wings and the whole 9 yards, even the tail. I mean, there have been I tell you, some of the more interesting sightings have occurred overseas in in New Guinea and Papua New Guinea and around there, what they call a ropin. And these beings have been said to actually glow. Now, I don't know how true that is, but it's something that I've talked to several investigators about. I actually talked to Josh Gage about it. In fact, when he did his first TV show, that was the subject of the show, The Ropin', out in Papua New Guinea. And he and I have talked about that. He was really shocked by it. I mean, he still would recall it a lot of times. And, I was fascinated. That was probably one of the most fascinating documentaries I had ever seen. And that kind of piled on top of my research. And, I not really had heard much about these sightings, but after that show, they seem to be popping up more and more, but I do believe people are seeing these things.
Okay, so are they being seen in populated areas? Because you think with anything that big in the sky, whether it's the pterodactyls /ropin or the thunderbirds, which are, apparently been recently seen again in Pennsylvania, wouldn't these be big enough to be picked up on radar? And if so, why aren't we seeing them more often?
I think there are a lot of things that are picked up on radar that aren't reported. I really do. But that being said, we don't get a lot of reports of these type of winged beings in populated areas. It's usually out in rural area.
So rural areas or forested areas, their nestings must be huge. Are there trees big enough to hold these nests for a 20 to 30 foot creature?
I'll be honest with you, I have never received a report that had anything to do with nest. So that makes you kind of think that, are these things coming from somewhere else as well?
Well, let me ask you this then, because, I was talking to Butch about this, and Butch Wachowski, that is, for our audience, from UFOcop.com. Hi, Butch. I know you're listening in, and you look fantastic tonight. You really do. But nonetheless, talking to a lot of about Butch about this with a lot of these sightings, what's the chances that somebody is actually not seeing the creature in real time, but maybe seeing some sort of, portal from a time previous where these creatures flew around?
Or some type of residual being. Yeah, I think that's very possible. Yeah, I do. I've talked to several researchers about that, and there are reports that this very well may be true. Nick Redfern talks about this woman who actually was out in a park in Seattle and actually saw a saber-toothed tiger manifest in front of her. Well, it's either a portal or this is some type of residual energy that suddenly decided to show up. But, I have heard other stories and other reports very similar to that. So, is it coming from a rip into the between worlds, between realities? I guess it's possible. But, at this point right now, we really don't know what a lot of this is. I hope I live long enough to be able to find out. I really do.
Well, so do I, because there are rumors north in British Columbia here that one First Nations community has actually lost members of its community to this creature that has been taking them for food. Like, this is a man-eater, allegedly, these pterodactyls are roping.
I had a pretty interesting sighting from Vancouver Island of one of these huge pterodactyl-type beings. Pretty close and personal, too. And I've had other people who have had cursory sightings of large birds on Vancouver Island as well. So, is it actually a relic being that's able to live in a very very highly wilderness area like, British Columbia or Vancouver Island? I guess it's entirely possible. I mean, Bigfoot, just like a lot of other cryptids, seem to show up in these areas. So, it may be a relic.
My goodness. The way you look at it with these creatures, whether it's pterodactyls, whether it's Dogman, Bigfoot, it all comes down to they have to have some sort of breeding ground, breeding areas. Is this where we need to be focusing on, or can we even find that? I mean, heck, we've been studying great white sharks for a few decades now, and we can't even figure out where they have their breeding grounds. They just show up.
Yeah.
Is this kind of the same way here?
I think it could be. I think it very well could be. We like to think we know everything, but in reality, we really know very little. When it comes to the oceans of the world, we just know nothing, quite frankly, as compared to what's really going on out there. I think a lot of that can translate into terra firma too. I mean, you get these high wilderness areas. We just really have no idea what's going on out there.
What do you think is going on?
No, I don't know. I'd like to think that there are some indigenous beings out there. But I'm at the point now where I just don't think that's realistic to believe that entirely. You're always going to have researchers and investigators that believe the flesh and blood only argument theory. But I think most of us are open-minded enough to believe that there's something else going on out there.
Well, if we want to believe it, and I believe there's a lot of this going on. I really do. I believe in Bigfoot because I've seen it. All right. I know that there are people that I have met that have had Dogman encounters, and who am I to say, oh, no, you haven't. No, you haven't. But when it comes to a lot of these cryptids, whether it's the pterodactyls or sea monsters like the Ogopogo or Champ or Nessie or Chupacabra, or some of these more or less known or popular type creatures, how do we know they're really real and it's just not someone's figment of their imagination?
Well, I guess a lot of that comes into evidence. I mean, you can get photographic evidence, but that can be interpreted in a lot of different ways as well. I guess it all boils down to what we said before, physical evidence. But until someone gets an ironclad photograph, film, any ironclad proof of the actual existence of these beings or entities, there's going to be questions, and there's going to be skeptics as well.
Are you tired of the skeptics?
Yeah, I really am. I really am. I try to be cordial. I try to be cordial with them, but I'm at the point now I just don't have a whole lot of time to argue with them.
I don't blame you. I mean, I guess it comes down to, what's wrong with having an open mind? Why the harsh debate? Because for many people, they take this debate very seriously, because whether or not they want the truth, whether or not they believe, whether or not they are standing right there and nothing ever happens to them, but other people right in front of them are having some sort of experience, we always see this anger that comes out of those who are complete disbelievers because they haven't had the experience on their own. Mm-hmm. Is there a way that the two sides could ever come together?
I doubt it. Frankly, I have met people who I know were diehard skeptics until they had an encounter, and they're usually the true believers after it happens. I guess the only way to convince a skeptic is to hope they eventually have some type of encounter with something they can't explain.
Lon, we've got about 2.5 minutes left with you tonight, and this is a show that has absolutely flown on by, and I appreciate you reaching out. I love having you on the air. Every time you got a new book out, you have a place here to come and talk about it. I think you're one of the best out there when it comes to all of this. What's up next for you? Is it continuing with the flying humanoids, or is there another challenge or another story that maybe we don't know about yet that's going to be big news?
Well, I'm going to be following this winged humanoid phenomena, winged cryptid phenomena from here on out. That's something I'm always going to look into. As long as the reports come in, I'm going to look into it. These pale white crawlers, humanoids, rakes, whatever people want to call them, that's something that has been popping up much more lately. I don't really have much of an explanation of what this really is, this phenomena is, but it has seemed to dominate a lot of the unexplained sightings lately. And in fact, people that have been doing this for a long time, in particular Stan Gordon, he was on my show last week, and we talked at least half the show about these pale white cryptids or beings or whatever they are. It's popping up everywhere. Here in Pennsylvania, it's popping up. I said to you earlier that Butch is looking into a case near him that I referred to him. So yeah, that may be the new thing. We really don't know what they are, but hopefully we can get some more information and kind of come up with a decent theory. And of course, the upright canine sightings here in Pennsylvania in particular, we've been looking into and continue to look into.
Where can people buy your book, Winged Cryptids?
Just go to Amazon, search my name, Lon Strickler, and they'll all come up.
With his 286 million other books that he has written about once every 3 days that he is putting out now, Lon is one of the top writers in cryptid. And you know what? You want to get his books. You want to get his collection. And, Lon, I want to say thank you again for coming on and entertaining our audience on Spaced Out Radio. It is always a pleasure to have you. And you had me on your show, Arcane Radio, a few weeks ago. And I want to say thank you for that. That was a lot of fun. And we'll talk to you very soon, my friend. And please stay in touch.
Well, thanks again, Dave, and you take care, stay safe, everybody stay safe, and take it easy, and have a great week.
Absolutely. Lon Strickler, everybody. Coming up next, we have the SOR Newswire and the Thought of the Day. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio as we look to take this home. Lon, thank you so much, my friend. I really do appreciate that. That was a lot of fun.
No problem, Dave. I appreciate you having me on, man.
Every time. Well, anytime you want to come on, you know you got that key to the city here, so just use it.
Well, I appreciate it, and you just take it easy, stay safe, and
Will do.
I'll be talking to you real soon.
All right, brother. Take care. Good night.
Take care now.
Bye. Hello, lots. How are you? Industrial Surrealism. Welcome to Spaced Out Radio. And let's see here. Sort of, kind of. He lets me. Peanut butter rolls. You know what? I still got your lips puckered on my ass, buddy, from all the kissing you did to get back into our chat room. No, I'm teasing. I hope you enjoyed Lon Strickler. We're going to get the news here. I got to get this set up, so bear with me because I got to do this whole news thing. Where are you, Shirk? Where's your news here? Let's go here. All right, let's do this one because that's a good story. Let's do, what are we doing here? Who else is chatting here? I love Lon Strickler, man. I really do. He is a fantastic dude, both him and Butch Wachowski. I love them both dearly, man. Those guys are just phenomenal people. Phenomenal people. And, the fact that they will come on and hang out with us, and we're lucky. We are lucky. I mean, not just as a show, but as a listeners and everything. Lots is getting ready for work. She's getting ready for work. She's looking in her closet right now, trying to figure out which shoes to wear. Can we give Lots any hints or ideas of what shoes she should wear to work today? Mm-hmm. 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 There's a lot of dumb out in the news today. We're going to have some fun with these ones. Lots of dumb. Captain Shirk found us some serious dumb out there, and I love it. I love it. Tonight we're getting good news from the captain. All right. I wear rigger boots. I am a joiner. Well, as long as they're steel-toed and your nails are polished underneath them in a nice pastel sort of color, maybe Tiffany blue or something like that, that would be perfect. Hi, Superlen. Mm-hmm. 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 Cryptidave was an accent. I like that. Cryptidave. That's kind of cool. Total woo news, Sandra. Gutterith Gawkerith. Now, if you didn't see the round table with little Richie G on Friday on Goof On, Gutterith Gawkerith was on there with me and Test One, otherwise known as Rick, and we had a blast. We had an absolute blast. Gutter's a good dude, man. Good dude. So make sure you give him a few props in the chat room, man. Seriously, you're a good guy. Good guy. You're a good guy, man. You're a good guy. Oh. Oh my God. This is what Captain Shirk just said. From now on, every time I learn you have been on some other show and didn't advertise it to your fans so they can listen, I am going to pull out one beard or mustache hair slowly. It's going to be very painful, and both your eyes and nose water and run. You need to tell your audience what you are doing. It will be good for both shows. Yes, Captain. Yes, Captain. Yeah, Gutter does have a nice smile, Sandra. He's got one of them sexy, manly smiles that says, I'm going to get you drunk, and then I'm going to play checkers with you. Good dude. Very good dude. Test one. Test one. Absolutely. Test one. Thank you, Captain. Eve just realized she has heels on with matching summer PJ thingies. Close, okay. Shoes off, well, okay. We got to see the shoes, Eve. Eva, come on, we got to see the shoes. Oh, dude, Lon's a great dude. Drop my name. He'll come on. He'll come with you. Okay, we're into our final commercial here. I'm still getting ripped a new asshole by Captain Shirk right now. Okay, I said, my bad. She goes, okay, your audience wants to support you, damn it. For crying out loud, Dave Scott. Get the advertisement out there. All right, then no, she says, now you can get to keep your beard and mustache. Thank God she doesn't watch the YouTube feed. Otherwise, I'd be a dead man right now. Here we go. Let's have some fun here. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much to each and every one of you tuning us in. Remember, you can listen to all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. That's where we keep everything free for you, because the only thing we ask for in return is give us a thumbs up. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Don't forget, if you're a Twitterite like I am, follow us on Twitter at spacedoutradio, and you can follow my personal handle at Dave Scott SOR. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? Captain Shirk worked her tail off today getting this ready for me. The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes we run into the Grim Reaper. Yes, Florida man is protesting the governor's decision to reopen the state's beaches by visiting the shores dressed as the Grim Reaper. Daniel Ohlfelder turned heads this past weekend at beaches across Walton County when he donned his death costume and wandered the sand to protest the reopening of beaches amid the COVID-19 pandemic. The Grim Reaper represents death. This is a deadly virus. It is a global pandemic, he says. He's a lawyer, Ohlfelder says he wants residents to reconsider foregoing self-isolation while the coronavirus continues to spread. People are going to get hurt, and that's what I'm here for. I wish I didn't have to do this, but nobody else is doing it. Ohlfelder tweeted a video showing his encounter with a police officer who said a beachgoer had complained about his costume frightening children. No kidding. How about keeping your kids off the beach so maybe they can live themselves by not catching the virus? Speaking of COVIDiots, a store clerk was left amazed by a customer who had cut a hole in her COVID-19 face mask because it made it easier to breathe. Joe Saman was working his shift at an SJ Food Mart outside of Lexington, Kentucky, when a woman came in asking to pay for gas. But unlike the hundreds of other customers Joe sees on a daily basis, the hole in this woman's protective faceware, which left her mouth and nose exposed, caught his attention. Footage shows the woman approaching the counter and says, "Hi there, can I get 10 on pump 1, please?" Joe does the customer's transaction before asking, "Where did you get that mask from?" "Well, since we have to wear them and it makes it hard to breathe, this," cutting the hole that is, "makes it a lot easier to breathe," she replies. Shocked by her response, Joe replies, "Cutting it," as the woman nods in agreement. "Yeah, sure, I'll do that too. Thanks for the advice," he said, deadpanned as the woman leaves the store. The video has been viewed over 4 million times, with many commenting in amazement at this woman's ignorance. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention urges all Americans to wear face masks in public to help limit the spread of the virus. Oh my goodness. Some people, like... I don't even know where to go with this one. I really don't. All right? Like, this is... Do we need to explain this? This type of dumb cannot be scripted. You cut the hole in your mask around your nose and your mouth. How do you think the disease gets into you? Oh. I don't even know where to go with it. Speaking of COVIDiots, okay, there was a man spotted wearing a Ku Klux Klan hood in a Vons in San Diego County in the city of Santee this past weekend, igniting outrage from the mayor, the head of the Anti-Defamation League in San Diego, and others. A corporate spokeswoman said grocery clerks repeatedly asked the shopper to remove the hood or leave the store. A supervisor found the man once he was in a checkout line and asked him again to take off the hood or leave, said Melissa Hill, a spokesperson for Vons, Albertsons, and Pavilion stores in Southern California. The man removed the hood, purchased the items, and left. Photos shared on social media showed the man pushing the cart in the store's produce area and holding a plastic bag while wearing a hood. At least one photo shows the man, who appears to be white, middle-aged, standing behind a cart without the hood. Santee Mayor John Minto and other leaders condemned the incident. San Diego is #no place for hate. Tammy Gillis, regional director of the Anti-Defamation League in San Diego area, said on Twitter, Minto and residents who commented on social media said the shopper's actions did not represent the values of the city and almost 60,000 residents. The city has worked over the years to overcome a history of racially motivated attacks and skinhead activity that led to nicknames Clanty and Santucky. Some troublesome in so many ways that this is still happening in Santee at Vons. Resident TM Tellez wrote on his media page, where he shared the photo of the shopper. Disgusting. While some question why the man was not forced to leave the store, Tellez, Minto, and others thanked the store's management for stepping in. Many thanks to all who stepped forward to curtail this sad reminder of intolerance, the mayor said. Santee, its leaders, and I will not tolerate such behavior. County Supervisor Diane Jacobs, who represents Santee and other East County communities, also denounced the man's actions. The images I have seen are abhorrent, she said in a statement. This blatant racism has no place in Santee or any part of San Diego County. It is not who we are. It is not what we stand for and can't be tolerated. Hill said the incident was alarming and shocking. The incident occurred a day after a San Diego County mandate requiring residents to wear face coverings in public, including grocery stores, took effect. The mandate aimed at slowing the spread of COVID-19. What an idiot. Like, who does that? It's 2020. Who cares what the color of people are anymore? Who cares? We're all one, man. We're all one. It's easier that way. It's more fun. Oh, idiots. There's still idiots out there. I don't get it. Don't get it at all, and I never want to get it. Sad news in the world of football, as no coach in the NFL ever had a better year than Don Shula. He looked the part thanks to a jutting jaw and a glare that would intimidate 150-pound sports writers and a 300-pound defensive lineman alike. He led the Miami Dolphins to the only perfect season in NFL history, setting the league record with 347 victories and coached in 6 Super Bowls. Near the end of his career, Shula's biography in the Dolphins Media Guide began with a quote from former NFL coach Bum Phillips. Don Shula can take his and beat you and he could take you and beat his'n. Shula died today at his home across Biscayne Bay from downtown Miami. He was 90 years old. If there was a Mount Rushmore for the NFL, Don Shula would certainly be chiseled into the granite, Dolphins owner Stephen Ross said in a statement. Shula surpassed George Halas's league record, 324 victories in 1993, and retired following the 1995 season, his 33rd as an NFL coach. He entered the Pro Football Hall of Fame in 1997, and the induction ceremony took place at Canton, Ohio, 70 miles from his native Grand River. Shula became the only coach to guide an NFL team through a perfect season when his Dolphins went 17-0 in 1972. They also won the Super Bowl the following season, finishing 15-2. The 2007 Patriots flirted with matching with perfection of the 72 Dolphins, but lost to the Giants in the Super Bowl and finished 18-1. When asked in 1997 if he was the greatest coach in NFL history, Shula said he didn't know how to measure that, but added, "I always thought that's why they keep statistics and wins and losses." Shula reached the playoffs in 4 decades and coached 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks, Johnny Unitas, Brian Griese, and Dan Marino. During his 26 seasons in Miami, he became an institution, and his name adorns an expressway, an athletic club, and a steakhouse chain. There was no better man or coach in the history of professional football than Coach Don Shula. Miami Heat president Pat Riley said in a statement, "He was a tough, courageous, and an authentic leader with great integrity in his pursuit of perfection, which he perceived and achieved." But because the Dolphins last reached the Super Bowl after the 1984 season, Shula came under increasing criticism from fans and the media. He was replaced in January 1996 by Jimmy Johnson, and Shula later said the adjustment to retirement was difficult. "There is such a letdown." He said in 2010, "There was no way you could fill the time you spend as a coach. Life is great after football, but you don't have those emotional ups and downs you had on game day." God bless Shula. 2 women dressed up like healthcare workers were grabbing items from a Kennewick, Washington porches. Yeah, apparently the women donned blue scrubs, the comfortable clothing worn by nurses and doctors, and a lanyard before sneaking up to porches and grabbing deliveries, said the police. They were caught on camera working together and driving a maroon 4-door car. One of the women was also wearing gloves. Both appear to dress as nurses, and we do not believe they are actual nurses, Kennewick police said. The nurses we are fortunate to know, only give their time, lives, and take the vitals of their patients, not their property. Anyone with information about these hoodlums said to call Kennewick police. Let's go over to this story. Deadly hornets from Asia that measure up to 2 inches long, can wipe out entire honeybee colonies within hours, have been spotted for the first time in the U.S. They were spotted a year ago on Vancouver Island in British Columbia. The so-called murder hornets, which are blamed for about killing 50 people a year in Japan, have now been spotted in Washington state. Yeah, they can rip through a hive and kill every bee, or kill a bee every 14 seconds. But researchers are describing an interesting defense being employed against the menacing hornet, the Japanese honeybee. Bees in Japan have been known to form a ball around the invader and vibrate to produce heat, which can essentially cook the hornet to death. The report said the bees can survive in extreme temperatures and can kill a hornet in about an hour. The Times reported that the European honeybee, which are common in the U.S., tried to sting the hornet, which proves futile due to their tough exoskeleton. Researchers told the media that the Japanese honeybee learned to adapt through generations. Our honeybees, the predator has never seen before, so they have no defense. Ruth Danielson, a beekeeper in Washington, has said this is dangerous times. You see those things? You need one heck of a big fly swatter. About 10 armed police officers and a helicopter crew responded to a rural property on a report of a loose tiger that turned out to be a life-size sculpture. Kent police confirmed the officers at a National Police Air Service helicopter responded to Moat Creek in Kent, England, this past weekend after a member of the public reported spotting a big cat in the area. My son Duncan rang up and said there were armed police on a hill leading up to my house. Resident Juliet Simpson said she's only 85 years old. 10 of them, pardon me. But by then, I could see the helicopter above, and I thought, goodness me. So then I walked up to the road and saw the police Land Rover. I went up and said, do you want to be introduced to this tiger? The tiger was actually a life-size sculpture Simpson had assembled from chicken wire and resin more than 20 years ago. Simpson said the officers were amused by the mix-up and posed for photos with the tiger sculpture. They liked the model and said they thought it was very lifelike. They said they had to respond to people's concerns. Simpson's granddaughter Martha posted photos of the sculpture and the amused police officers to Twitter. My granny is a sculptress. Today, 10 armed police and a helicopter were called to her house after walkers reported a tiger in the woods. This is the tiger. You know what? I can honestly say that tiger looks extremely real. Let's move on to the final story we have tonight. May 2nd, 1933. The modern legend of the Loch Ness Monster is born. Yes. So there's a big story in the UK about this. It relates to an account of a local couple who claimed to have seen an enormous animal rolling and plunging on the surface. The story of the monster, a.k.a. a moniker chosen by the media called the Courier Edition, became a media phenomenon with London newspapers sending correspondents to Scotland and a circus offering £20,000 sterling reward to capture the beast. After the April 1933 sighting was reported in the newspaper on May 2nd, interest steadily grew, especially after another couple claimed to have seen the animal on land. Amateur investigators have for decades now kept an almost constant vigil. And the 1960s, several British universities launched sonar expeditions on the Loch Ness, trying to make sure that they have to prove the existence of this creature. Nothing conclusive, however, has ever been found, but in each expedition, the sonar operators detected some type of large, moving underwater objects. In 1975, another expedition combined sonar and underwater photography in Loch Ness. A photo resulted that, after enhancement, appeared to show what vaguely resembled the giant flipper of an aquatic animal. Further sonar expeditions in the 80s and 90s resulted in more inconclusive readings. Revelations in 1994 that the famous 1934 photo was a complete hoax has only slightly dampened the enthusiasm of tourists and investigators from seeing the legendary beast of Loch Ness. And that's how we roll into the thought of the Dave. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages. Then read your responses on the air because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. What are your thoughts on the Mothman sightings in Illinois? You know what? We didn't get too many. I'm actually kind of shocked by this. I really am. Maybe it's because it wasn't about Star Wars today. I went off the grain, off kilter. But, thought of the day, Mothman sightings. Ronnie, on Twitter, hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Not really sure. Could it be a tulpa, maybe? Well, maybe, Ronnie. It just might be. It just might be. Others on Twitter, Revelation of the Method, or RMS on Twitter. Chicago checking in. Nothing to worry about. Mayor Lightfoot locked them down for being outside. I would say that's a shot at Chicago's mayor. I really would. I really would. Very cool. Very cool. Jim, weird AF, but I tend to believe in Lon Strickler, who is our guest tonight. People are seeing something. The sightings of the creature on the ground have me thinking it's more than just misidentification. Then again, I could be wrong. Tim, Illinois area has already been known for thunderbirds before this, especially up in the high cliffs overlooking the Mississippi River. That's where they supposedly stay. See, the Mississippi River I'd never go in. No way. No way. With all the snakeheads, the carp, and the bull sharks that are around there that can swim in freshwater and saltwater? Yeah, not a chance. Not a chance. True fact, though, the Fraser River in British Columbia at one point had more paddle boats than the famed Mississippi River. You can check that out. Statistical proof. Gail. Oh, I have my doubts as to the authenticity of those reports. Airports are secure places, and humanoids with large wings are something security would take very seriously. I call pranks and tricksters on this one. Thank you, Captain. Bill. Legitimate evidence seems to be lacking. Marty. They could only find out once and for all if they hung giant no-pest strips at O'Hare Airport. Thanks for the clown, Marty. That one scares the bejesus out of me. Parker. As with Point Pleasant, it feels like a marker, like a watcher of time that comes through a portal. Nothing in common with this life form. It exists to see, not to be seen. Kelly. I have doubts. Lots of these stories are just that. They are missing names, dates, and times. Sometimes all of the above. Some could be true, but a lot of them, I think, are either misidentified birds or hoaxed altogether. Robert. I haven't seen them yet, but I have a friend who has seen the Mothman. And Daryl gets the final word tonight. In a way, it reminds me of the Jeepers Creepers movies. Thank you to everybody participating in the Thought of the Day. We'll do it all again on Twitter and Facebook tomorrow. Big thank you to Captain Shirk for putting one heck of a great news lineup together. You can find it on our website, spacedoutradio.com, and give our thumbs up to our Facebook page, the SOR Newswire, and Lon Strickler from phantomsandmonsters.com coming in to talk about his latest book, Winged Cryptids, which can be found on Amazon. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, Facebook, the Space Travelers Club on our website, and to all the snarkers and snarkettes on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. I have the best theme song on radio. Have a great night, everybody. We're going to do it all again tomorrow. So why don't you join us? Come hop on the Woo train. We're going to take you for one heck of a ride. Good night. That's a good show, everyone. That's a good show. Audience, you did fantastic tonight. You did fantastic tonight, audience. Good job. Good job. You guys were amazing. You guys were absolutely amazing. Oh. Oh. We got to take those off. Let's give a little shake here. Oh my God, the headphones. Where are you going, Heather? Where are you going? You can't leave yet. She's always like, adios, muchachos. Oh, that was a good show. All right. Don't you leave. I haven't even serenaded anybody tonight yet. I got to edit the show. Hang out with us. Be one of us. Be a weirdo. I almost trimmed the beard today. Just so you guys know. I almost trimmed the beard, and the only reason why I haven't yet is because I just got new beard oil, to be blunt. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We're going to edit this fucker up and go to bed. A fluff. You're amazing. Hey, Fabster, thank you so much, man. Great appreciation for that. That's good stuff. You're a good guy. How's Grandma Rose doing? How's Grandma Rose? Yeah, that was a good show. Lon was solid tonight. He was really solid. He was really solid. You know what? I'm looking at the camera here because, like, I know you're there, but the picture is like here. I got a large, big dome, man. I got a big head. I got a massive, massive fucking head. I don't know if I like it. I really don't. I'm not going to trim the beard, man. I'm not going to trim the beard. Not for a while. I'm going to go full on fucking hippie for a while. Why not? Why not? No, it's not a wig, PBR. That is connected. There's no glue holding this on. None. No glue. Nothing. There is no glue there. Okay, which one did I cancel? So that should go there. Well, it's not bad hair. It's not bad hair. I think Jenny McCarthy has nicer hair than I do. I think I got better hair. Even though he's making millions and upon millions more than me, I think I'm better than Sirius XM guy. Come on, why can I? All right, Cruising Heather, good night. Hi, Julie. How you doing? Welcome. Derek, that's where you get your woo power. Absolutely. You notice because of you, Derek, I mentioned the woo train every night now on the exit to the show now. I am so blaming you for that. So blaming you for that. All I can think of is singing the love train to that too. I do have a huge head. Look at the size of that melon, man. It takes up like 1/3 of the camera. Massive. Massive dome. It's not pretty. It's not pretty. Oh, God. What does Peanut Butter Rolls say? That gal from Frisco has good hair. Which gal from Frisco? Oh, Geraldine. Yeah, Geraldine has good hair too. She's got really nice hair. I think my hair is better. I think I got the nicest. The only one who competes with me with hair is Jimmy Church. He's got great pipes and fantastic hair. Very tight goatee too. Very tight goatee. So that's good competition right there. All right. All right. All right. Let's get the editing started. Heather has great hair. I've seen pictures of Heather's hair. She's got fantastic hair. Yeah, I'm a size 8 too, Fapster. I'm a size 8. Moonstone, I'd let you braid my hair. I'd let you braid it. Not that I'm a hair slut or anything like that. But I am a little bit of a... I'd let you braid my hair. Eh, what the hell? All right. So once again, if you're new here in the evening, wondering why I'm not paying attention to the camera, it's because I'm editing the show for our radio stations. That's what I am doing, and so I got to quickly edit them up and then send them off. So that's why we hang out late here. Okay. Shit. KZAX. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Files, save as. There we go. All right. I cannot wait to go and party my ass off in Vegas. I need to go and just get absolutely foolish. Foolish there. I am on a huge, huge Vegas craving. I want to sit at a center bar and drink tequila and watch people. That's what I want to do right now. Nah, Jimmy's got good pipes, man. Jimmy's got fantastic pipes. You can't take that away from Jimmy. Jimmy's got a great radio voice. The way to a man's heart is his blow dryer? I don't get that. Foolish with Cruz and Heather. I think we should call up Cruz and Heather. That might be dangerous, though. Number one, I don't have their phone numbers. But number two, I know they've been drinking wine all night. Sounds dangerous over there. Wherever they're partying and didn't invite us. They didn't invite any of us. I'd probably show up and they'd be like, you don't look like the guy on the radio. Keep the hair, but the rest of you can go. I'd be like, but, yeah, no, that's just the way it is. I'm teasing. I'm teasing and being self-deprecating, I know. All right, let's go like that, attach that. Let's do a little stat here. Let's do a little stat. How many of you, okay, because I'm pretty outgoing, okay? You have to be in order to do this show or whatever. But how many, Grandma Rose wants to get you drunk and in the hot tub in Vegas, but watch your wallet because she's a serious gambler? Fabster, I appreciate the warning. I've heard that about Grandma Rose. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. I'd take her up on that offer just because I could. Let's just all hop in the hot tub with Grandma Rose. We have to party. Honestly, Fapster, when we do our Vegas SOR party next year, you got to bring Grandma Rose, man. You got to bring her. That would be so badass, man. so badass to have her there. I would absolutely love it. I mean, she's 97 years old. 97 years old. That would be just, honestly, that would be awesome. Danger, danger, Will Robinson. Who's Will Robinson? All right. I'm just more curious to see who would come out and party. I'd pay for someone to get a spaced out radio tattoo. I totally would. I would totally pay for that. A big "We Own the Night." Sandra could use a new tattoo. I know you can, Sandra. You and me, we're going to go get "We Own the Night" tattoos, Sandra. Tattoos in Vegas are expensive, though. You got to go just a little bit. You just got to go out a little bit out of town. Well, off the strip, more like it. Do I have one? Like tattoos? I have 3. Heather wants me to get a tramp stamp because apparently that's all the rage with men right now. And she just finds it so hot. It's just so hot. I bet your ex-boyfriend had a tramp stamp. When in Vegas, I'll get one, Dave, if you're buying. Yeah. SOR Las Vegas sounds... Dude, we're going to do it. I think we're planning April 2021. We're going to do like a big SOR party out there. Just invite all the listeners and like... It's not like a real get-together or like... We're just going to party. You know, we'll find a club or something and all this type of shit. I'm not going to show you my tattoo. I got to drop my pants. I do. I literally have to drop my pants. Yeah, I got a Marvin the Martian tattoo on my leg. If I had shorts on, I would show you, but I got my pajama bottoms on right now. Excuse me. All right. Someone said the other night, like, you don't know the others, so are only speaking for yourself. Something like that. Oh, what is that comment? Eva. SOR raids Area 51. Sure. Let's go party at the gates. Yeah, until we all get arrested and hit with that blaster that they have that makes you shit your pants. Yeah, they've got some tone that they can shoot at people that makes you poop your pants. That's how they disperse rioters now in those situations is they make them poop their pants. It's true. I forget what it's called. Could you imagine, though, just getting hit with some sort of ray and all of a sudden you shit in your pants? I don't have a rocket above my pecker. I do not. I have a Marvin the Martian holding his PQ-36 space modulator in his left hand, and in his right hand he's holding a hockey stick with a Canadian flag flying off of it. It could be the B note. It could be. That is a shitty situation, Moonstone. Yeah. Go to Area 51 and accidentally drop a deuce right there because you have no control over your bowels. It happens. It happens, apparently. It happens. Hockey? Oh, yes. I got to play hockey again. Maybe next year. I was going to play this year, but I think next year. That would be kind of cool. I remember, true story, 1994, my hockey team actually went down to Vegas to play in a 24-hour hockey tournament. And, it was so much fun. Absolutely a blast. And we went down, like, literally, a month before, we were going down with like 15 players and a goalie and literally a week before we went down, we had like 10 players because 5 dropped out. And then we arrive in Vegas, we got 8 players and 1 goalie. And we're like, oh, well, we'll just have some fun and go from there. And so we go in there. How the hell did that happen? We go in there to the hockey tournament, and we're playing this team from Michigan. And they are looking the part. They've got like really nice jerseys and all of this. And they got this short man syndrome guy on their team. And he's just sticking all of us. Like, we're shorthanded. Like, there's 8 of us or 7 players and 1 goalie because one of our guys got suspended for the tournament. Yeah. So he slashes our goalie. We have 1 goalie and he fucking slashes him right behind the legs where there's no padding. So I see this and I'm behind the net and I see the slash and the guy's quickly skating up ice and I catch up to him about center and I just said, hey, fucker, turn around. And I gave him, and he wouldn't turn around. So I gave him a slash right in the back of his legs and he turns around and he's got the full face cage on. And I said to him, I said, you shouldn't have done that. I said, we got to fight now. I'm not fighting you. You're bigger than me and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, no, dude, you're being a prick out here. I said, we asked you to stop. And I said, now I got to fucking tune you up. No, Rob Blow wasn't on the team. And so all of a sudden the referee blows his whistle and the captain from the other team jumps off the bench and comes on over. And he's like, we know you guys are they're from like Lansing, Michigan. The guy's like, we know that you guys are from Canada and you all know how to fight. And I'm looking at their bench. They've got like 17 players and 2 goalies. And there's 7 of us and 1 goalie. We're outnumbered 2-1. And so this guy's like, we don't want to fight. We don't want to fight. And I'm like, I look over at his bench, look at my bench, and our guys are just dead tired. I'm like, fuck yeah. I said, we're going to fucking go right now. Absolutely. No, we don't want to fight. I said, well, then get this little prick off the ice. So that guy and I go to the penalty box for unsportsmanlike conducts. Comes off the ice. He didn't play again. It's a good story. One of my favorites. Then we played this team from Viking, Alberta in the final. And we were down, I believe, 4-1 or 4-2 in the final. And there's like 8 minutes, there was about 11 minutes left in the third period. And there's a scrum in front of our net. And next thing I know, there's gloves starting to fly everywhere. So of course, I wanted to get in there. So I'm skating around trying to figure out who to go with, and the linesmen are in there. They shut. So it was like right out of Slapshot, man. It was right out of Slapshot where we barely got our gloves off though, and like there was no fighting or anything like that. But, it was almost there. And, people are starting to drop their gloves. And we're like, what the fuck is going on here? We're kicking you guys off. Tournament's over. Game over. Well, why? Because we're not putting up with this shit here. And all this and they were just pussies about it. Just pussies. And we were like, go fuck yourself, San Diego. You can't be doing that. Shutting down tournaments, trying to just getting a little bit of a scrappity-doo. Good night, Heather. Good night, Cruz. Happy birthday. Thank you for stopping on in. Which is really weird because I had a member of the LA Kings cheerleading team follow us on Twitter today. Not that there's anything wrong with that. So I messaged her and told her to stay weird. Thanks for the follow and stay weird. Who knows? She may be watching right now. Hi. How you doing? Upload. No, not files. We need a folder. That's KZAX right there. Upload. Commencing upload now. And then we're going to go to WeTransfer. No thanks. And then add this file. There we go. Upload. That goes to Jyoti. Jyoti goes to Jyoti. Let me grab the intro. So I always close it before I have to. And I need my verification code. 691192. That's the big code. 691192. There we go. Verify that bad boy. Yeah, tell them to come on over here, peanut butter rolls. We could use some of them 4,350 people. We got 95. That's a good one. Who's on tomorrow? We have Geraldine Orozco with the Spiritual You. Hey, Corins, we got to get finished booking on June here. I'm just looking at that. Like, we're into our first week of May, man. Actually, we're booked till the first week of June, or through the first week of June. Oh. Guys, I'm going to go walk around for a couple seconds. My knees are really sore. I will be right back. I will be right back. Stay tuned. I'm going to put a hair thing in. There we go. I'll be right back. Ow. Don't leave, because I will be back. Just need to stretch. All right. Oh, I'm back. I am back. And we're lost 10 people. Where are we on the downloads? So once again, I can't stay too late because of the, because of the thing that I got to work in the morning. That sucks, but nothing I can really do. Geraldine Orozco, not Geraldine Ferraro. Now let's go where I can see you guys, so that way I'm not having to look down all the time. My channel. Let's go live right there. Oh, well, I've got a few minutes left. We're only about 50% downloaded. Well, that's top chat. Let's go to all live chat there. Yeah, back to the grind. I had to work all weekend too. Not that that's a bad thing or anything like that. But it just gives me more resolve that how much more I love what I do during the day, but it doesn't even compare to what we're doing here. It really doesn't. Hey, Roy boy, how you doing? But, yeah, my knees are killing me because I'm running around a lot at work. But that's okay. I got to get back in shape anyway, so it'll be good. Eve. Yeah. Geraldine has it all. She has it all. Good looking woman. Smart as anything, too, which is really cool. Dave Scott, what you think of the movie Goon? I've never watched it because I don't like the way Hollywood portrays hockey movies. Ever since that shitty Youngblood with Rob Lowe, where they say that they start every hockey fight with a stick fight and you got to knock the stick out of the guy's hand. No, there hasn't been a good hockey movie out there since Slapshot. If you want to watch a really good hockey movie, watch Slapshot. That's what I would suggest you do. Eva. Wally. Well, we're trying. We're trying. We are trying. Hey, it's my mom's birthday. My mom is 77 today. My mother is 77. How awesome is that? I would try and call her tomorrow during the show. Maybe I will. Maybe I will try and call my mom during the show. That's what we should do. Eva, I am ready for bed, but was such an eventful day. I'm relishing it. Relish it with us, Eva. Relish it. Blades of Blades of Steel on Super Nintendo. That was an amazing game. I remember that game was expensive back in the day. It was like $60. Yeah, you got to watch Slapshot, not the remakes or the, don't watch that shit. Watch the original one. That's what it's all about, is the original one. The other ones are terrible. They make it into a comedy. Yeah, maybe what we'll do is we'll call my mom tomorrow. I wonder if she would take the call. I'm going to have to set that up with her. See if she'll be up. Oh, your granny turned 89. Right on. Happy birthday to Overbuilt's grandma. Thank you. Oh, yeah. You run into a guy in Blades of Steel, you go 1, 2, 3, and then it pauses. You get the drop of the gloves, and then you got to hit the guy 5 times to see who wins. Oh, yeah. That was good stuff. That was good stuff. Okay, the one download is done. So let's kill that. Don't save. Turn that off. That they did desecrate a classic. All right, that's been sent off. Let's see what happened. May 5th history. See what's happened on my mother's birthday. Well, of course, Cinco de Mayo. On this day. 1268, Kublai Khan, grandson of Genghis Khan, becomes ruler of the Mongol Empire. 1494. Boy, I should bookmark this site. On his second voyage to New World, Christopher Columbus sights Jamaica, landing at Discovery Bay. Come on, there's got to be something good in here. 1778, George Washington appoints Friedrich Wilhelm von Steuben Inspector General of the Continental Army. (1814), the British attack Fort Ontario, Oswego, New York. 1809, Mary Keyes is the first woman issued a patent in the United States for weaving straw. Well, that's kind of cool. 1863, Joe Coburn knocks out Mike McCool for the U.S. boxing title in the 63rd round. You got to be fucking kidding me. 1877, Sitting Bull leads his band of Lakota into Canada to avoid harassment by the United States Army. 1891, Tchaikovsky opens up in New York. How cool would it have been to see that? 1904, Cy Young pitches the first perfect game. The Boston Americans defeated Philadelphia Athletics 3-0. It's kind of cool. Who does my mom share birthdays with? Let's see here. Let's get a little closer. Let's see. My mom's born in 1943, so let's start there. Anybody cool born in 1943? Let's see, Michael Palin, English comedian. Andy Roxburgh, Scottish soccer player, so he doesn't count. Raphael, Spanish singer, born in Linares. Let's see here. Dave Spector, 1954. Well, now this makes me wonder about my birthday coming up. Excuse me. Oh. Michael Renberg, former Philadelphia Flyers on the Legion of Doom line. He'll be 48 years old. Tina Yothers from Family Ties, the ugly one. So where are we here? All right, we're view details. I'm going to share the folder. Everyone, it's that time of the night where I have to say goodnight, everyone, because I got to head to bed. I hope you don't mind. I'd love to stay up longer. I know you know that I would love to, but I got to get some sleep. And I'll try and get my mom on the show tomorrow night, because I know Geraldine won't mind. My birthday is May 24th. May 24th is my birthday, so it's a Sunday this year. But anyways, I will let all of you guys go. Thank you so much for sharing.